TLB Radio.
Do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it.
This.
We are what you made us. Exactly. So what's the big deal? 5 or 6 people get killed, and you all freak out and put it on us, and we're just reflecting you back at yourself.
Is the Tate LaBianca.
Had you let us put on a defense, we couldn't have explained to you why it happened.
Radio program.
Broadcasting from the Star City of the South, Roanoke, Virginia, you are listening live to the Tate LaBianca radio program. Good evening, TLBers. I'm Brian Davis alongside Tawna Laufenberg as we are back to bring you the radio program which pursues the interests, the oddities, and the truth of the Tate LaBianca murders. Happy New Year, everybody. Our first program of 2025. And wow, hard to believe as we enter 2025. I guess that means we are now, TLB Radio, entering our, what would this be? 2011, 21 would be 10. Carry the 1, bring down the 0, carry over the 1 more. That would be, wow, that'd be 14 years. So we're entering our 14th year of TLB Radio here on the interweb. Amazing. What do you think about that, Tawna Laufenberg?
I haven't been here for 14 years.
I didn't ask how long you've been here, ma'am. I just said, what do you think of that, Tawna Laufenberg?
I think that's pretty cool, actually.
Pretty cool, man. I have to say that even.
Cool.
I don't usually even put myself over, but good Lord, that's a pretty long time. Also joining us tonight, our good friend, once again, from Making Manson, the documentary, John Michael Jones. John Michael, how are you, my friend? All right, it might be a little too early still for John Michael. We'll check back.
I'm great, Brian.
I forgot to unmute my mic. I'm over here chatting away. Nah, I was saying I didn't realize it until you just mentioned it, that it's the first show of 2025.
Yeah. And
what an honor, brother.
Hey, what an honor to have you here back again. I appreciate it as well. I can speak on behalf of all of us. I think that we are so grateful for you to come back again. Part 4, like I said, over the last couple of weeks, it's like our very own audio docuseries with these phone calls you've been providing, John Michael.
Hell yeah, brother.
I mean, it's been fascinating, these phone calls.
Yeah, tonight you'll like it.
Oh, I do. Well, we've loved all of them, but I hear what you're saying. Like, each one of them has had their own element of something different that we've seen a part of this the side of Charles Manson. That, well, I guess, same thing you guys are seeing in this documentary. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, as I said a minute ago, John Michael is featured in the documentary Making Manson. The phone calls provided by John Michael to the documentary, the director Billy Manson, he put it all together. And if you haven't seen it, check it out. From what I understand, and from what I think, everybody thinks it's damn good. And you can catch it now streaming on the Cock. How about that? The Peacock, that is.
Yes, the Peacock. It is really good. It is really good. It is a really good documentary.
Yes. How are you about the documentary now, John Michael, that it all is settled? It's all out there now. It's a final product. It's been out there for a while. You've got some great reviews on it. How are you personally with it? How do you feel it came out?
I think Billy Mintz did an incredible job with it. I had to watch it a few times to let everything sink in, but I wish they had shown a little bit more, but I get it. There's only 3 hours, but I just think that there was a lot more they could have focused on, other than like the bodies on the beach and all that other shit, you know. But I get it. There has to be drama. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very pleased with it. I really have to admit, you know, because I look at it like this. It could have went a lot worse, like with the funeral documentary. You know, I just have
Yeah.
bad
Yeah.
Yeah.
a bad taste in my mouth with
Yeah.
these kind
Yeah.
of people anyway.
Yeah.
You
I
know,
hear.
they're the scum of the earth. They really are.
Well,
These people, these, you know, with the exception of Billy Mintz, I take, you know, he's
yeah.
a rare breed. But I like it because they humanized him, and they really did allow him, you know, to tell his side, you know, of what he said went on. And I like how they let some of the people that helped convict him listen to him and respond to what he was saying. And I think that's the first time ever that's ever been done. That was a
Yes.
pretty
Yeah.
brilliant move.
And again, a lot of
Yeah.
these, a lot of these comments they've never heard before because through the years they've all been on the other side of the fence with the prosecutor. So now
Yeah,
they've
and
heard.
a lot of things don't get like I'm going to share this with you, and I just found this out recently. You know, Billy had to fight tooth and nail to get a lot of this stuff in there. They didn't want to even go this route in the beginning. NBC kind of
Yeah.
took
Okay. You're talking about the network.
the network, yeah. And like for instance, where Diane starts crying and says she just wants to know what the truth is. You know, they didn't want to put that in. And it's very telling how they manipulate shit to let you see what they want you to see instead of showing what is and the facts, and they fight to keep shit like that out, and I just don't understand why.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, do they ever give an explanation why they don't put it the way you want? I mean, do they say anything along the lines of, well, you know, we got to keep with that original narrative, or it's not? I can't imagine the excuses, their explanations that they give.
I think because it sells, you know, and if it's
Well, that's
worked for
true.
55
That's-
years or 56 years, you know, but there comes a time where, you know, especially in today's day and age, where people are starting to look beyond the media for truth, and you know, actually they lose trust in the media, and thankfully for that, because I think NBC decided, all right, let's go a different route here. You know, we have an opportunity to let Manson tell his own story. Why would they not go that route? It's just, and they made the right decision, I think, you know.
Well, I think you're right, John. You said it a second ago. That's exactly what it is. It sells. That story, that official narrative sells. And
That's it, man.
that's
It's
it.
guaranteed
Bottom line.
money.
Yeah, there you go. And I think you just answered that question for sure.
So
Yeah.
was there
It's all
anything
about-
that like you really wanted to go into it that didn't make it into it? Like any specific thing?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot
Like there's
that
a list.
there's a small little list, yeah, that I would have liked to have seen go into it, and I really honestly thought I would have more of an input, but I had zero input. Of course, Billy would say, "Hey, you know, what do you think of this?" Or "What's he saying here? What's this mean? Like, what's he talking about here?" You know, other than that, no,
Yeah.
I had no input, zero.
Billy Mintz is like, John, you got to teach me some Mansonese, man.
Yeah, you know,
I mean,
and there's actually a call. I'll give you an example. There's a call with Charlie, and I pointed this out to them because I've wanted this in there so bad. It's a really one of the rare times Charlie called me depressed, and I hated seeing him like that. Like, and I noticed it was always around August, the first week of August, when he would get like this. Like, I can't describe it. Charlie was such an upbeat person, and it's almost like Robin Williams. He's so funny, but when you see him in a dramatic role, it's like, whoa. It becomes, I don't know if you're just so used to seeing him making you laugh that when you finally see him in a different light, it's like spectacular acting, but it's sad. And for some reason, whenever Charlie got like this, I would just drop everything I was doing, lock myself in a room, and just try to get him out of it. Try to make him
Yeah.
laugh, tell a joke. But anyway, there's one call where he was in one of those moods, and he was talking about the mask. And for the first time ever, he talked about being tired of wearing the mask and being what people wanted him to be, and how he was not that Manson character. And he was so down. And I just said, I get choked up when I talk about it. But I said to him, I said, you know what, man, for somebody that's lived in a cage for damn near 50 years, because this is towards the end of his life, I said, you've lived an amazing fucking life, man. Look at all that you've done and all you've accomplished. And he paused and he said, yeah. And you can hear the inmates in the background. And he said, if I didn't have to suffer this shit. And I just realized at that moment I couldn't take him out of it. Like I couldn't make it go away for him. You know what I mean? But like, I think that phone call should have made it in there, because here he is admitting to you fucking people that he was fucking playing a character. Like he was, isn't that what this film was about? Like, I get it. I would like to have seen it begin with the fucking official narrative and slowly show the real Manson and let the audience come to its own conclusion, and then at the end bury the buck for every fucking rotten thing he's ever done. That would have been a picture perfect show, and it still can be, you know. But I think that call should have made it in there, because that was such a powerful moment, you know, for him to admit I was just what they wanted me to be.
Probably rare.
That answers every rare isn't the word, because I've talked to him for fucking 17 years up to that point, and I was just sitting there with my jaw in the fucking bathroom sink like, oh my God, he just said that. Because I always knew it, but of course for me it was just, you know, just a theory. Even though I believed it in my heart, I really never had any, because he never admitted it until that moment, you know. I play acted. I was play acting to be what they wanted me to be, and it fucking bit me in the ass, you know. And it's just like, man, I knew it, you know. And I'm thinking in my head as he's saying this, I fucking knew it. But it wasn't until I revisited the calls and heard it and was on the outside looking in, I said, oh my God, I forgot about that call, you know. And I was so wanting that call in the fucking film. It was so important, but they just left it on the cutting room floor for some reason. I guess it showed a little too human, made Manson a little too human for him. I don't know.
Well, I was going to say, just because of the rarity of that emotion or that, you know, mindset of his, I would have never, of all things, I would have never thought of him to get into a depressed state of mind ever.
Yeah, me either. It's because you know what? And I felt, you know, now looking back on it, I'm very honored that he felt comfortable enough with me to allow me, even though it was painful. And a lot of times I absorbed that pain, because it's a sacrifice we make when you're friends with somebody and you love somebody. You know, that's true love. And for me, it was a brotherhood. You know, it wasn't like a father figure. You know, he kind of was, but he was more of a brother to me. You know, in some sense. In the other sense, he was like a dad, you know. But anyway, he was, you know.
Let me ask you something, John. Let me ask you a question here, or let me say something first, and then you tell me how close or how far off I am. I've got my own belief of this, just based on watching Charles Manson through the years of all the interviews that he did, and the phone calls that I've heard throughout the years on the internet and so forth. John, I believe many people say Charlie Manson wore the mask during the television interviews and everything. I happen to believe he didn't wear the mask then. I think he wore the mask around other people, the normal people, not you, because he obviously considered you different from other people. You were definitely part of his, you know, part of him, in the sense that if there was somebody that was a true friend in this world, it would be you. But there's other people, I think, other inmates, other people in the circle, other people in the quote unquote family, that I think he was wearing the mask for them. I think the real Charlie Manson was on the TV interviews, because that's where he said, hey man, I didn't get my rights. I didn't get to put on my defense. I didn't get to call one witness. That's not wearing a mask. That's his plea. That's his desperate plea while he's got a national audience to let people know I ain't like that. Because that's exactly what he told us in every single interview. That's not me.
Yeah.
That's not me. The DA put that on me. That's not who I am. I don't need no followers. I didn't want no followers. That's what he's always said. So I don't think he's wearing the mask during the TV interviews and so forth. I think he's wearing it around the people. He thinks he's got to be that strong, like that. I can never let him see me cry.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You understand? I think he's bullshitting the other people. The real Charlie is what we saw telling us on those interviews. Hey, you guys got to do something. I didn't get my rights. If it happened to me, it can happen to you.
Yeah.
What do you think? What say you?
I think each and every one of us, every day we walk out that door, we all have a little mask of our own. You know, we are. I think we are conditioned and programmed and raised to wear that mask for, you know, on job interviews. You're going to put on your best face, and you know, when you're hanging out with Joey opposed to Vinny, you know, it depends on. Yeah, I guess you're right. You know, there's times in our lives where we all toss on that mask, and then when we feel comfortable enough, we whip it off. You know, I mean, he was no different. I think that for him, it was a little bit more complicated than that, because he always had someone pulling at him, wanting something, always, no matter what, you know. And I think I was one of the very few that didn't.
Yes, 100%.
And I think, on that.
Yes.
Yeah, I let him take the floor. It went like you'll hear in tonight's call. Towards the end of the call, he gets real serious. Like, hey, can I ask you something personal? You'll hear it. And I say, yeah, sure. And you can hear the way I react to it. Like, you know, he I don't know, it was almost uncomfortable for him to show emotion. Like, it was really awkward for him. I understand it.
Yeah, I always got that feeling from him as well when I watched him.
Yeah, I understand it. I mean, the guy, that's why people say, you know, why did he act that way? Or why did he, you know, because it was the first time in his life he's ever felt loved.
Yeah.
You know, was at that ranch. That was the first time ever. When I hear him tell me about before the ranch, his days with the guys that he lived and hung out with before the ranch,
right?
They all kind of fucked with him and bullied him, and like he was the runt of the group. And he always looked up to them. And it wasn't until the ranch where Charlie became the one that was looked up to.
Yeah, if not by de facto, right? Just by
exactly. And in my calls, that's another thing I wish they had put in there, which I think they did now that I think about it, where he says, look, man, I was just trying to get some pussy. You know, I didn't give a fuck what they want. I just yabbed them to death. It's like, I wasn't paying attention half the time. Yeah, sure. You know, if I tell you to go fuck yourself and you go in the corner and shove a broomstick up your ass and kill yourself, is that my fault? And
I always liked the way he did that stuff. He'd see a girl sitting under a tree crying or something. He'd take a guitar up there and go, "Hey, baby."
Yeah, he says it right in one of the calls. Look, I was just trying to get some pussy, man. You know, I wasn't trying to be anyone's leader. You know, one thing he did say is that everyone always came to him with their problems. Like he was I felt like the janitor. I was always cleaning up everyone's mess. Like, and then they should have put that in there, because I think it was Gypsy, and I think maybe Diane both said it in this documentary. Charlie was always fixing shit for people. Charlie was always, you know, cleaning up after Tex or cleaning up after I forget exactly how they worded it, but it was said in this documentary. Charlie was the go-to man to solve all the problems.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. And I think that's what put him in this fucking position. You know, the need the desire to help his friends.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what put him in his position.
And there's another call too.
That's what he did.
Where,
you know, he could have, when that night that they came back from Cielo and told him what they had done, he could have said, "Oh, okay, hey, good for you guys.
Good job. You did exactly what I told you to do."
Or
no
he could
fucking way. He was pissed.
No, or he could have said, "Oh, okay, hey, cool, man. I'll see y'all later." And that morning, he could have got into a car and he could have left and went to Mexico or wherever.
Yep.
But he didn't. He sat around and tried to help his friends cover it up. That's the accessory.
If you listen to that call and that scene in the documentary, they didn't edit that. That's the actual call. If you listen to the tone of his voice when he's telling you that Sadie put that knife in his hand and she said, "I took a life for you," and he said, "No, witch. What you just did was put me back in the fucking penitentiary for the..." If you listen to the tone in his voice, he's reliving that moment, bro.
Yeah.
He's reliving that moment as he's telling me about it. And if you listen, that's not the tone of a happy man. That's a man who's realized my life is over.
Yeah.
Life as I knew it is over.
Tawna reminds me of this all the time, and I take this in consideration too when you think about it. Charles Manson was set to get off of parole that December. That December, wasn't it the 24th or something, Tawna?
Yeah, it was the 24th to 25th. Mm-hmm.
So Christmas Eve of that December, he was going to be off of parole, out of the system for good. Do you understand how that must have, that's so liberating? I find it hard to believe that he, months to go before he's finally out of the system for good, something he's been part of, involved in his whole life, and now he's finally going to be off parole for good, and he goes out and what? Masterminds a conspiracy of murder?
Right.
It doesn't
And
make
he was preparing for that, bro. He told me about how he was like auditioning and trying to get, like, I think when he went to pick up Stephanie, I don't remember, maybe I'm wrong. He told me that he did an audition before he picked her up or after he picked her up. But on that trip, he went on an audition because he said that he was about to be off parole and he could travel freely.
There was a festival happening. There was a festival happening at the Esalen Institute, John Michael, and even Stephanie said, "Yeah, we went by there." I guess that was what he was doing, going for an audition for the festival. Yeah.
So if he's waiting for the end of the world, what's he doing auditioning?
See,
exactly.
I'm telling you, Bug, we're gonna get you, Bug. We're gonna get you, motherfucker. We're gonna get you. We're gonna get you, Bug.
Oh man, I get so worked up when I get emotional because it's like he was like right there, bro. Right there. He just had a few months left to go.
I know. That's what
you look at history. That's the story of his life.
A lot of people don't realize that little detail.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. You ready to get to this? You want to do the call?
Let's do it.
Okay, man. Anything else we need to know about this in particular call? What year was this, John Michael? Do you know? 20, what does this say?
I think 13. Let me see. Okay. I can tell you right now. I can tell you I got my notes right here handy.
Excellent.
This was March 27th, 2013. Yep.
All right.
March of 2013.
All right, so there you go. March 2013, as we roll on here, this is our part 4 of what, again, has turned into our very own Making Manson audio docuseries with John Michael Jones, featured in the Making Manson documentary. You can find now streaming on the Peacock, and also heard right here, right now, live on the Tate LaBianca radio program. Here is this phone call.
Thank you for using Global Link.
What's up, Goomba?
I don't know.
What are you doing, my brother?
Same old choo-choo in the bubblegum train.
Man, you see this shit's blowing up out here.
I'm saying, is it snowing out there?
No, not at all. I said
What'd you say?
I said it's that that news is blowing up all over the place.
Oh, yeah?
ABC, NBC, Fox News. It's like crazy, man. They act like the president's been shot or something.
I think they began to realize that the last breath of air is in play.
Yeah.
There's going to be no air left anywhere.
That's right, brother.
You know, they was always on the snow, like the freezing was coming, the big freeze.
Yeah.
And everybody was working to save New York. Nobody gives a fuck about the world. They just want to save New York. Yeah, remember those movies? They had a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Charlton Heston saved New York, and the Planet of the Apes saved New York.
Yeah.
And, everybody was saving New York.
Right.
And they didn't know that New York was over at Oregon all the time.
All the way back to King Kong.
New York. Yeah, I was flushing New York.
Right.
I thought it was New York. Yeah. What's happening? Broadway.
Yeah.
We was over in Baltimore. Yeah, Baltimore and Boston. And hang around with the good shit lollipops. Yeah, they just come over from Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah.
But the coward running from the English.
running from the Irish.
Come over here to hide. Yeah, coming over here to hide, man. Do. Yeah.
It's a good day, brother.
John Paul Jones and all them bones with Jim Jones.
Hey, I'm glad you finally
John
got
Paul
that call through. The channel. How'd that call go? Do you finish that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll call. Yeah, he's all right. He got back on in terms, I think. Yeah. I haven't had a chance to call him again.
Yeah.
But he took and put the conversation on the web. Did you see it?
Yeah, man. What's wrong with that guy? He's got to go run and post
Yeah,
everything.
I figured.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, well, that's where he gets all his attention, man. He says he has the back porch.
Yeah, but let it be your back porch. Why you got to put it out there for the world to see? I mean, things that private.
His money.
Fuck, man, that's a private conversation that doesn't need to be listened to.
Well, I just wish he wouldn't lie about stuff.
Yeah,
contradiction. You know, whatever he does, I'm not hiding nothing.
I know.
If I feel like saying fuck you, I say fuck you.
Yeah, you made a lot of good points, man. You made from someone on the outside listening, he looked real stupid because you made a good point when he was like, "Man, that motherfucker thinks he's Clint Eastwood," and you said, "Well, what's wrong with Clint Eastwood?" You asked him, "Why do you hate Clint Eastwood?" He felt so stupid when you said that. He didn't know what to say. I tried so hard not to laugh.
I thought he was cool.
Yeah, but you made a lot of good points, man. He's sitting there, talking about your friends, and you made a good point when you brought up, well, your wife doesn't like me. And he shut right up when you said that. You're like, man, I don't go attacking your wife because she don't like me.
Yeah.
And that's a good point to make,
yeah,
man.
She sends me pictures. She sends me pictures with her hand in a coffin. Yeah, she's in the funeral home.
Yeah.
And it's casket. Must be my grandmother. She was a witch.
Yeah, man. That person that I talk to sometimes in that place? He called me up tonight, right? Running off at the mouth, and I told him, I said, look, man, you got to be careful about what you're talking about over this telephone. He's saying shit that he shouldn't be saying.
Oh, Channel?
No, the guy in there with you.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's talking about...
Yeah, he does that, yeah.
You got to be careful, man. He's putting your business out there.
Yeah.
I care about you. You know what I'm saying? But certain things I don't need to know, especially on a fucking recorded telephone line.
Yeah, well, that really in itself is not important either.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm not hiding from them.
That's right.
They're hiding from themselves. And it was like, they breathe air too, you know?
Yep, yeah, that's right.
It's not, you know, like if I can save my hair, you can breathe it. But if I can't save mine, you ain't gonna have none either.
That's right.
And the equation is very simple. It's very, very precise. The computer doesn't make mistakes. The computer has an estimated time.
Yep.
They can weigh the pollution. They can weigh the solution. They weigh everything, and it comes up that way. It comes up air, water, trees, and animals. If you don't save those, you can forget the human element. The humans are gone.
That's right.
The humans left when Abraham Lincoln divided and conquered the United States, it went into the money. And the money brought the slaves out, and the slaves working for the money. The people are...
This call and your telephone number will be recorded and monitored.
Slaves can run 200 miles. A person can run about 50. The slave can take the football away from the person. The slave can take the basketball away. The only way you're going to protect this basketball and your football is if you got a gun. Because the slave will beat you up because he's stronger, he can run faster, he hears better, he sees better. The only thing you can't do that you can do is
What's that?
You know what it is.
What? Yeah.
Blow, big blow.
You hit some C4 up in that motherfucker's ass.
you can destroy.
Yeah. Fuck that, man.
I'll give you a hint. Gorillas don't eat hamburgers.
Oh, nice hint.
Yeah.
What the fuck am I gonna do with that?
Yeah, well, yeah. Here's the joke about the guy sitting in a cage with a female gorilla in it in a zoo.
No, I didn't hear that one.
She was... Yeah? Remember that one?
No, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, she's in heat. Said, I'll give you $500 if you made her. He said, I can't make no gorilla. She'll bite me. He said, no, we'll put a muzzle on her. You see?
Yeah.
And we'll turn out the light, and you just go in like you're a gorilla. You know, she ain't gonna know the difference. The guy, you kidding? He said, no, go, just try it, man. It's a sick joke, man. All my jokes are sick.
Let me hear it. I fucking love it.
So he goes in, and about 20 minutes go by, and he said, went to the gate, and he said, is everything all right in there? The guy said, yeah, go away, man. About an hour later, he come back. Are you sure everything's right in there? He said, go away, man, I'm busy. Came back a few minutes later, he said, I gotta know if it's okay. He said, man, come in and take the muzzle off the sweet motherfucker.
You're fucking nuts, dude. You make this...
Almost like...
Holy shit. What am I listening to here, John? My God, I can't even get over what I'm hearing here.
Isn't that awesome?
I can't even.
I love his jokes, man. He's got the best sense of fucking humor, man. Take the muzzle off this sweet son of a bitch.
Hilarious. All right, let's continue. Let's press on. Let's continue. I just had to pause there for a minute. And I couldn't even believe what I was hearing. I couldn't believe he was actually cracking that. That's hilarious. All right. Thanks, man. Let's keep going.
That's almost like I didn't tell that dog what to do.
Yeah. Fucking love it.
I like the one when you turn yourself into a dog turd, you got right up on the asshole and it was sewed up. Yeah, I like that one.
I remember that one. That's fucking hilarious.
It's a good Christian joke. It's a Christian joke.
Let me hear it.
If The woman says, I'm going to make a phone call. You hold my baby? And the guy says, yeah. She made a phone call. She came back for her baby, and he handed her a hamburger and a milkshake. She said, where's my baby? She said, didn't you know babies are made for us cows? God made these babies for us cows. Yeah. But they're always saying with the unborn calf skin that God made the unborn calves and the cows for the
holy shit
for the people to eat. Only the cow lives so the people could eat them.
Yeah.
Boy, Christians are sick.
Sick motherfucker.
They're really fucked, man. Yeah, they're fucked. They crucify Jesus every day. And don't even know why. You look in all those books, you can't find out why they crucified Christ.
That's right.
What was his crime? Was he in for assault battery or mail theft or stealing a car? What was he in jail for, man?
That's right.
They don't even say. They just put it off on the other two guys. Say they did stuff, you dig?
Yeah.
Barabbas, they let Barabbas go, man. I like the time when they burned him up, when they set his head on fire.
Yeah. That sounds kind of familiar, don't it?
Yeah, they let the Hindu.
What is that? I wanted to pause again there, John. Was that you commenting over the call? It sounded familiar, right?
Yeah, it sounded familiar, right?
Yeah. I was going to say.
I forgot that I said that in the call.
Yeah. Interesting. Good stuff. All right, let's press on.
And he ended up killing someone else. Makes sense?
Yeah, we're sorry.
It makes no fucking sense.
Yeah, well, that's good. We should get the rest of it. It would be all right. I lived. I don't think you will.
I talked to Nicholas tonight. You know what Nick said to me? He said that after seeing you, it's a miracle, he said, that he's, out of all the things that they've ever done to you, out of all the shit you've been through, that you've survived, he said he wouldn't last a minute in that place, looking at that environment and how strong of a person you are. And I told him, I know that, brother. I know it. Fucking warrior. They burnt you.
Well, they did some terrible stuff last weekend.
Uh-huh.
They come in and gavel up my visitor. I had $50 worth of food on the table, man. I was much.
And your telephone number will be recorded and monitored.
They come in scared star, man, and handcuffed her, threw her against the wall, did their old tough guy routine on her, man.
God. What?
Took her somewhere, took her clothes off, made her take her clothes off, and went through all her stuff, trying to find something that doesn't exist.
Oh.
There's suspicions. That's not right, man. We're going to sue.
All because a guy forgot to take his fucking watch off.
Yeah.
It's
somebody's job. Uh-huh. Yeah.
All because someone forgot to take their watch off. They make it into something it's not.
Yeah, that's not only that. They didn't, once again, they did this to them before with weapons. Trying to make a funk in the trunk and all that shit.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
So anyway, yeah, life moves on.
That's right, man.
The land of slam.
Fucking asshole.
The land of slam.
You know what it said on the news today?
What?
It said that Corcoran officials told the news people that there's a pending investigation into the last cell phone that was found, that it's still an ongoing investigation, and they're going to try to pin that one on him, too.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
There's been an investigation since Bugliosi started. every day for the past 45 years. I've been under one kind of investigation or another, man.
Right on, bro.
Oh, God. That was great.
They got 25 different officers doing 50 different things. They all come to work, get a piece of paper and a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Go on a coffee break.
You have 30 seconds remaining.
Then they walk around with a piece of paper, and they got 39 patrol cars, and 500 cops, and 55, all this stuff piled up. They got 50 million people guarding 2 or 3 people.
Right on, brother.
We're all afraid of them, so give us more of your money. We're taxing you this many dollars for so much more. We got these patrol.
I fucking love him, man. He's so fucking right, though. I guess that's why it's so fucking funny, because it's true.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Fucking fuck with him any chance they get.
Shit,
Hate those motherfuckers. But anyway.
That
Are
is
we going now?
incredible.
You still want me to hem those pants for you?
Maybe it's next week's call. I thought it was this week's call. Man,
Yeah.
let me see.
That's I think we got some more here. Let's see if there's some more on the end here. Hang on. Let's press on here. See.
That was Charlie, 11:42 p.m.
Yeah, no, that's it. 11:42 p.m. on the 2013. As you hear another call. John, that was a good call, John Michael. That was a good call.
Yeah, I thought I knew you'd get a kick out of that
That
one.
was really interesting. Good stuff. I mean, dude, he was in a great mood there. What was he talking about at the end there with Star getting her clothes stripped off or taken?
I'm glad that this played tonight because I've been really feeling bad about that last call talk because you know what? He loved her. And if you can't tell in that call right there, like it really affected him that they fucked with her. Like he did not like that. Like, but then again, he's like, I got $50 worth of food on the table. But fucking guy. This was during the whole fiasco when Grey Wolf got arrested.
So the cell phone incident that Grey Wolf
the
got
whole
arrested
cell
for.
phone incident, yeah.
Okay.
And also what happened was the second time when they roughed Grey Wolf up, supposedly Grey Wolf genuinely forgot to take his watch off. That's all it was, and they made it sound like he was trying to smuggle in this.
Okay, hold on a second. Let me. So he already gets one in, right? He's got one in there the first time, I guess. Or was he even the one to get? I don't even know if he was the first one. I don't even know if Grey Wolf was the one that got Charlie the first cell phone. Actually, was he the first? Did he do that? Was he the first one? Or you can't say. Doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at this point. But yeah, I mean,
so he got the first one in. So he tries to go to get the second one in, and what? They bust him for. So he's wearing a watch.
Yeah, I guess a watch that made calls too, or something.
Okay.
Yeah, or it was like you could record on. It was like one of those fancy watches, but they made it out to be something it wasn't. But I look at it like this. Like I'm learning, you got to take responsibility for your actions. You know what I'm saying? Like you get caught doing something one time, so of course they're gonna suggest that you're doing it again. But whether he was or not, I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't. Only he can answer that. But
like that would be kind of weird. I mean, that's wild though. If that's true. So, what did it turn out to be? One of those type of phones, watches, or watch phones, or was it like just a real watch?
I think he beat that case. But yeah, they locked him up, man. Grey Wolf was in jail for a while for that.
Wow. So and then what? So then they took it out on Star too. Like they were like, okay, well, we want to see what you got.
And then, if I remember correctly, Grey Wolf got bailed out. That's what it was. They took Star aside and strip searched her and just came over and just interrupted his visit. Like get up against the wall, you two. Like they did that to him all the time, man. And
so
Charlie.
They just wrote people up by association, probably.
Yeah, even when I went to visit him, they just treated him like dog shit. And like I went to say something, and he just put his hand up against the thing and just like, no, don't. You're gonna make it worse for me. You got to leave here. I got to fucking face these motherfuckers. Because it was like, do you really need to talk to him like that? I think that's all I said to the guy. You really need to talk to him like that? Because here's where it was: is he wanted a Coke, and I got up to get him a Coke, and they said he couldn't have it. He couldn't have the Coke. So I was like, oh, well, then can I throw this away? because I'm not gonna sit here and drink one and fuck in front of him. You know what I mean? If he can't have one, I don't want this one.
Of course.
And they were just talking to me like I was shit, you know?
Yeah.
And talking to him like he was shit. But then there were some that weren't. But for a majority of them, all had egos, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
had something to prove.
All the stuff I've ever seen with him, it's always been a love-hate relationship with those guards.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Oh, yeah. But for a lot of them were fucking awesome. They really were. They just treated him like... There were also times where he'd just get out of the shower and he'd go in his cell and drop his fucking towel to go get dressed, and the warden's taking fucking Japanese businessmen on a tour and showing off Manson like he's some caged animal.
I bet.
You know, and he put a curtain up on his window and he got in trouble for it. You know, and they're like, you know, they fucked with him like you wouldn't believe, bro.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
And it's funny that we're talking about this because I was talking to Elsie today, and like, I fought that fucking prison for 20 fucking years, and I mean fought them, and I didn't care because I'm halfway across the country. What are you gonna do to me? You know, I'm actually completely across the country. Yeah, you know, you can take my visits. I don't give a fuck. You can take my mail. I don't give a fuck. You ain't gonna fucking take his fucking goddamn liberties. It's just not happening. And I got stacks of complaints that I saved over the years from fighting for him. Just simple things like giving this guy his rights. You can't fucking create rules for him and allow it for the guy next to him. You can't do that. Bro, there was a time, very brief, where they took an X-Acto knife, and anytime Manson ever signed something, they would cut it out. I've got letters that look like Swiss cheese from where they just cut out anytime he signed his name. And you can't do that. It's illegal.
No.
Yeah.
Another thing that they were doing is whenever they confiscate something, California state law prohibits the prison from profiting from that. The prison has one of three things that they can do. They destroy it at your request. They send it out at your own expense, or they donate it to any one of your choosings. Now, when they just have a show called Lockup on MSNBC, and these clowns made a huge mistake by bringing the camera crew in this huge room stuffed full of all confiscated Manson items over the years. And they were showing this room off, like all this stuff of Charlie's. And I asked him, Charlie, did you know that they have a room over? He's like, yeah, I've been fighting for this shit for years. They won't give it to me. So I went on a fucking warpath and filed all kinds of fucking complaints and went to the media with it. And to this fucking day, you know, just last week, I found that finally, because I was looking for that clip forever. Just last week, I found it and sent it to the lawyer, Dale Kicken. And I said, Dale, when you retrieved Manson's items, was any of this shit? And he said, I can't tell you, but thank you for sending me this because I've been looking for this. Because by law, they can't keep that shit, bro. And they did. And what they were doing was they were auctioning this shit off. Guards, I can't tell you how many prison guards were caught over the years selling shit on eBay that was stolen from Charlie's cell.
I totally can see that. I believe that 100%.
His slippers, his glasses, his teeth. You name it, bro.
Damn.
It got to a point where the guy was scared to take a shower.
I bet. Dude, that is unbelievable to have to live with that.
Sad.
For your whole life. People are just
can I share a quick story with you? We got time for a quick story?
Absolutely.
This will give you an idea of what this fucking guy went through.
This is your show here tonight. Go for it, John.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie was in ACA. He was in the hospital. This is at the end of his life. I'm going to say maybe a year and a half before he died. He called me up and he sounded terrible. And I heard him, oh, fuck. I was like, what? Hey, what happened? He's like, oh, I can't fucking see. I'm like, what do you mean you can't see? They took my glasses. I'm like, who took your glasses? He's like, I don't know. I come out of the shower and they're gone. My flip-flops, everything, it's fucking gone. I says, gone? Like who? Now in ACH, you got to realize it's not like PHU where there's other inmates around him. He's in a room, and it's a medical facility. Now Manson is unlike most inmates. He's in a protective housing environment. He's supposed to be protected at all times. So anyway, I says, who was in your room? He's like, I don't know. They're cleaning the halls. I said, who's the inmates? I go, wait a minute, inmates? He's like, yeah. I says, so how would they have access to your? So now my brain's turning. If they have access to his fucking flip-flops and his glasses,
so crazy.
They have access to him. So I said to him, I says, Charlie, that's not good, buddy. And he's like, I don't know. I can't prove it. I can't prove who took it. I says, where are these? Are they still out there? He's like, they're cleaning the hallways. I says, Charlie, I got to call. You call me later, buddy. I got to go. And he's like, well, all right. And I hung up and I called the prison immediately. And I get onto the warden's office and get the secretary on the phone. And I explained to her, listen, I just got off the phone with him. These fucking inmates just raided his fucking cell and stole his glasses and stole his flip-flops. I says, ma'am, she's like, well, we can investigate and find. I said, no, ma'am, stop. You don't understand. These inmates, if they can reach his glasses in his flip-flops, then they have access to him. He's supposed to be fucking protected. He's in PHU. He should be in. That was my main concern. Of course, I wanted him to get his shit back, but I was more concerned with his safety. Make a long story short, there was an inmate called Ernesto Fierro. Charlie called him the Big Toe. The Big Toe. The Big Toe. Yeah, for Ernesto. His name was Ernesto, but Charlie called him Toe.
Gotcha.
So Toe called. It was a day or two later, and he's like, "Hey, man." He's like, "Did you hear what happened to the old man?" I'm like, "No, what?" He's like, "A bunch of inmates fucking went in and stole his flip-flops and his glasses." And I go, "No, yeah. He told me about that." He's like, "Yeah, but anyway, I guess that they caught them coming back into the main housing. They caught them. They pulled them aside and strip searched them. And Charlie got his shit back." I was like, "Oh, thank God." But I didn't tell him. Guess who they caught him? Because I ratted their asses out. Right? So, So I don't want to fucking admit that, right?
No,
on the fucking recorded phone line. So I'm on the phone with Ernesto, like, no shit, man. You don't say. He's like, yeah. I was like, so how'd they catch him? He's like, I don't know, man. They just said, hey, you, and you, come here, step out of the line. And they brought him in a room and strip searched him and found all Charlie's shit, man. They got him his shit back. Wow. So the next time he called, he says to me, hey, man, he's like, we talked, shoot the shit for a while. He goes, oh, I forgot to thank you. I says, for? He goes, calling and getting me my shit back. I go, how did you know it was me? He goes, who else would call the prison? He goes, you're the only motherfucker I told. He goes, I don't know how you do it, soldier, but you get shit done. But giving you an example, the guy couldn't even shower without them stealing his shit. And they didn't give a fuck that these inmates had access to Charlie. If one of these inmates wanted to hurt him, they could have just fucking got him right then and there.
I'm just I'm mind blown to have to imagine having to live like that. It's bad enough. Bad enough just being in the system, right? But to have to live like that and be in the system, that I couldn't do it. I would crack.
There's just no, bro. Not only do you got to watch your back for the guards, but you got to watch your back for the inmates.
Exactly.
You got to watch your back for the fucking people that are trying to use you.
You can't even anybody that calls you out or writes you a letter. You got to be suspect. You got to think they're coming at you for an ulterior motive or an agenda. I mean,
you know what, bro? For years, I felt so dirty because I was one of those people. I started out as one of those people. Like, I just feel dirty saying it. But
wow, I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean.
Yeah, you know, so I understand it. You know, I don't.
Yeah, I do too.
And he did too. You know what I mean? He did too. He knew it. You know, he was no dummy.
He did. He knew it. He knew it.
See, that stuff started way back during his trial. They were on the weekends. The guards would bring people up to look at him in the cage in his cell.
Yeah,
So-
like I couldn't believe it when he was telling me that. Not only that, but they wouldn't let him shave when he got his pro per, and they allowed him to represent himself for the short time that they allowed him to represent himself. They wouldn't let him into the law library. They wouldn't give him a pencil. They wouldn't let him make phone calls. He couldn't touch a newspaper. It's like, bro, this is a guy who's representing himself. How do you expect me to represent myself if I can't go to the law library? But they sure didn't.
Yeah, they
didn't.
And then what would happen is, after a certain point, because everybody's got a breaking point, he would do something, stupid.
He did.
But
that's mid-trial when he turned into Charles Manson.
Well, I mean, even before he was doing stupid stuff in there, just because he was so frustrated. But here's the thing: the media only reports the antics of Manson. They don't show the other side of what might have been the cause of it, or what the court did. After so many times of being denied your motions, you finally go, you know what? Fuck it. I'll give you what you want. Whatever.
You want to hear something crazy? And for the longest time, I thought he was joking, and it was one of his, I don't even know what you call it, but when you say something, what is it? Not Mansonism, let's call it that, right? Where Charlie talks in circles and he's telling you something that you think sounds like fucking like crazy talk, but it's actually real, is when he used to complain about Rusty. Remember the show The People's Court?
Yeah.
Judge Wapner.
Yeah.
And Judge Wapner had a sidekick called Rusty.
Yep.
Well, Rusty was Charlie's fucking guard who guarded Charlie during the trial.
Yeah.
And Charlie really used to blame Rusty for Charlie losing his pro per. And one day and I thought it was a joke. I don't know. I didn't know until I got to asking him about it. And he said that he really believed in his heart of hearts that Rusty and Judge Wapner was given that show because they helped Nixon and Younger sabotage Manson's trial. And Charlie fucking went to his grave believing that. And I'm not saying it's true. I'm just telling you what he thought. And I never ever knew that until like later on in my relationship with him, that when I did my investigation, that Rusty really was one of the guards that guarded Charlie during the trial. So I got to thinking, fuck man, maybe that's true. But Charlie thinks that this Rusty character is the reason why Charlie lost his pro per.
I didn't know like the connection.
I didn't
with
either.
Wapner until like recently, actually.
I knew. Oh, okay, you're saying recently. I didn't. I knew it. I knew the bailiff. I knew the Rusty the bailiff story, but I didn't know he was the cause, or it was even believed that he was the cause of the pro per being taken away.
I got to find that call. Yeah, Charlie goes into great detail, and I was just like shocked.
Yeah, that would be interesting to hear.
Wow.
Yeah,
Another thing that they used to do to him is they would bring in these black. Now, mind you, this is mid-trial, right? At the heart of starting a race war.
Yeah.
Man, like this is, and they would bring in black inmates and leave Charlie's cell open and let these inmates roam into Charlie, and they would close them into a cell with him. And he told me a story one time where one of them told him to put his nose against the wall. And Charlie says, I ain't putting my fucking nose against, because he knew if I put my nose against this wall, I'm going to lose my teeth. This guy's going to smash the back of my head into this wall. And I won't say the exact words Charlie used, but he said, I had to put on my big boy pants and tell him, look, motherfucker, I ain't putting my nose up to this motherfucking wall. And they respected him for it.
Yeah.
And and the guards were actually pissed that the black guys didn't fuck Charlie up. But this is the shit that they would do during the trial, bro.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And he
During the
complained to
trial.
the judge. He complained to the judge about it. He talked to the judge about it. It's crazy hearing you talk about it because it like there are bits and pieces of that actually in the record from the trial.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like when you said,
he brought all this stuff out. Yeah.
When he said newspaper, he ended up, there was a couple of times where somebody with, another person in the jail was walking past the cell and they said, "Hey, do you have that? Are you done with your newspaper?" And Manson gave, "Oh yeah, here, take the newspaper." Solitary the whole entire weekend in the hole for that, for giving his newspaper to somebody else.
Wow.
It's crazy. Yeah, crazy. So yeah, and it's right there in the transcript saying exactly what you're just saying right now. It's just crazy. Blows my mind.
And you know what really, and now looking back on it, when I listened to how upbeat he was and he loved to tell a joke, as you heard tonight. He loved to make people laugh, and he just very rarely if he was talking shit, he had a reason. You did something to him. Charlie always found, but even when it came to the whole Clint Eastwood comment, like a motherfucker thinks he's Clint Eastwood. Well, what's wrong with Clint Eastwood? Like, like he always found like the positive in things. Like, but when you look at the life he's lived and the fucking shit he's endured and the injustice done to this guy, man, if that was me, I don't think I would. I don't know. I think I would turn into that hippie cult leader and want the world to suffer. But here's a man that was the complete opposite, who was trying to save the same world that condemned him, that shit all over him. His whole life he was shit on. And look, I get it, man. I hear people say it all the time, and it really upsets me because they didn't know him. Well, Manson was not a good guy. Well, none of us are. Come on, preacher. Who are you?
That's true.
We all have our days. Come on, man. There's no such thing unless you're talking about the Dalai Lama or something. But, we're not all. Who is a good guy? Would you be a good guy if you've done the shit that's been done to him is done to you? Of course not.
I'd be pissed.
I get it. Yeah, I mean, the guy has done some crazy shit in his life, but you got to understand, and I didn't realize this until I revisited my calls and hearing every time he got out of prison, every time, not once or twice, every single time, he had nowhere to go. He had nothing in his pockets. He had to start over, and I mean start over. I can't imagine what that's like, to have nothing and no one, to have no fucking family and no uncles or aunts or cousins or someone you can call for assistance.
Hang on a second. Stop. Let's ask somebody that knows all about that. Boner Van Tulski, I see you in the chat room, you pathetic loser. Tell us what it's like to have no friends, no family, or no one that cares about you. Because we all know, you know what that's like, you pathetic moron. What a douchebag. Go ahead.
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's. I heard Stoner actually came from a damn good family. Like he was adopted by a good family. I don't know if it's true.
They can't stand him. They can't stand him.
But I personally like. I don't know. I try not to judge any man. I don't, because I've done it before, and sometimes you don't realize, you don't know what these people have gone through. I don't know what Stoner's gone through in his life. And I try not to. Sometimes it's hard not to. Like I had someone ask me the other day, it's like, man, you got, I don't know why people do it. And I'm glad they do, because maybe they're just looking out for me, but maybe there are others that just want to start shit. But for every day I get a fucking email, hey man, you see this guy's talking shit about you. Hey, this guy just said some shit. Look at this guy talking shit about you. And it's like half the people that talk shit about me don't even know who the fuck I am.
Right.
They know nothing about me. I got some guy, someone sent me a clip yesterday of a guy who does a podcast with Casey Fields. I don't know the name, but I don't know his name, but he's talking shit about me. I never met this guy a day in my life. He's talking about Lululemon sweaters. I've never owned a sweater. When have you ever known me to wear a sweater, Elsie? Elsie, when do I ever wear sweaters? Never. I've never worn a sweater in my fucking... He's talking about me wearing a Lululemon sweater and a toupee. Me with a toupee? I got a fucking head full of hair. But anyway, I wear a hat 99.999% of the time. Maybe he's talking about the documentary. That in the documentary is a shirt. First of all, it's not a sweater, and it's not from fucking Lululemon. But my point is, like, channels. The whole purpose of these things is channels. Like talking about all the universities I've been throwing out. Why do people create lies just to hate? I don't understand it. Are you looking for a reason to hate me? Like, I don't know. I don't understand people like that. And Manson endured that his whole fucking life. And it's just like, aren't we all, none of us learning anything from any of this shit? Like, why do we're all here for the same reason? Why can't we all be one community fighting for the same cause?
Because, John, it doesn't work like that when you glorify certain things and about
you're right.
people. These people
You're right,
have,
brother.
yeah, these people, you got to understand something about Boner and those other two fucking losers that you mentioned. They're not in this for the case. They're not in this to right the wrong. They're literal groupies. They're fanboys. They're the little bitches that never got laid in school. So they latch on to some type of crime like this, something big that they think they can be part of because they've never had anything to be part of in their whole pathetic lives. They've never done anything. They've never done anything to be part of something, to be popular, to be, respected. So they think they can jump on something like this case and then, oh, you know what? We'll just shield for Charlie all the time. But the problem is they actually have bought into the Vince Bugliosi image that he painted Charlie with. They're actually perpetuating the very image that the bug put on Charlie. These people aren't, in this for the case itself. They're just a bunch of grifters, a bunch of fucking fanboys trying to glorify this shit so that they can get, 30 people to listen to them. I mean, there's not more people more pathetic than Boner Van Tulski, Stoner Van Houten, as he calls himself. You won't find more of a pathetic piece of shit than him, except for the other two losers that you mentioned over on whatever the fuck they're doing. I have no idea because they're getting even less people to watch them than this piece of shit Boner. So if you want to call it like it is, let's just call it like it is. You've got TLB radio up here, you understand, and then you've got everybody else down here that are nothing but a bunch of maggots in a cesspool of fucking shit. That's all they do. You understand? So while they're chasing us, we're just sitting there.
I don't know what the fuck this guy's deal is. I never met this guy a day in my. He looks like the dude from Tales from the Crypt. You ever see that fucking guy?
So you know what? Charlie told me a joke once.
Don't get me started.
Manson told me a joke once.
Yeah, let's hear it.
I don't remember.
Yeah. I used to love his jokes, man.
It was something about, he said, zebras are just horses that broke out of prison. And I just remember saying, shh, don't. I'm going to have cops at my door. They're going to think you're breaking out of prison. And he laughed. And, just like when you were talking about, trying to cheer him up or make him laugh. I mean, there's a couple times where I had that same feeling. I don't have anything like what you experienced, of course. I came in very, very late. I only have a handful of conversations with him, but I do know what you mean by feeling that there's that element of despair in him at times.
Yes.
And just feeling like I'm out here in the free world and this guy doesn't have many connections and you have to, it's just an instinctive thing. I think that when you're a good person, when you hear anybody like that, you just have that need or that feeling to be like, whoa, what can I do? And
I learned too, like, how important his mail was to him. Like, and when you think about it, that's the only connection to the outside world, when you're in the hole is your mail, because you can't use the phone. You're in a fucking cell 23 hours a day. But for him, every piece of mail was so important to him, and he hoarded it all. He didn't throw anything away. I used to get his mail, so I know. Like, because every 3 or 4 months he would have to send it out, because you're only allowed to keep a certain amount of shit in your cell. And he would send boxes, huge boxes, 5, 6 at a time, full of Manson's mail. And I was just got to thinking how lonely that must be to sit in your cell and just have nothing but letters and I think that's why whenever he called me, I always would catch myself like complaining about like, oh man, this fucking guy, cut me off today and fucking even motherfucker, almost hit my truck. And it's like, here I am complaining about this minute little shit to a guy who's locked in a fucking cell 3,600 miles away, 6 feet by 6 foot cell, sleeping on a slab of concrete and a 1-inch foam mattress. And here I am complaining about traffic. What the fuck? I learned to just keep my mouth shut. I mean, that's why in a lot of these calls, you won't hear me. Even when he asks, I won't never, ever, ever burden him with my problems. It's like, that was not the purpose of at least for me, when he called, I wanted to be that conduit to normalcy, to a normal life. And I think he enjoyed that. And I think that's what kept him coming back was, I wasn't feeding that fucking narrative. I wasn't feeding that, talk to me about the murders. What kind of guy was Tex? Hey, did you really do this? Or did you? It took a long time for me to gain that trust with him to where he felt comfortable enough to bring it up. And some of the calls you'll hear, he'll even say, ask me anything. I don't care. Ask me anything. And what you eat today? Like, I won't go into it, man. I just wouldn't. I didn't want to be that guy,
See, now when I wrote him, I laid out everything that I found in the case that was wrong and asked him about it. Did they really do this in trial? Did they really do that and this and that? And that's why when Brian ended that he had played the beginning of the call, my first call with him, and you can just tell that he's like happy or excited. He's like, I got your letter. It was tremendous. And you can just hear it like, oh my gosh, like.
Can I ask you something? Mm-hmm. Out of all the shit that you learned that really did happen, what was the one thing that just left you speechless, like you could not believe actually happened, that you learned was true?
That he didn't get a defense, that just, the overall depravity that a district attorney would do what Bugliosi did and do it to such a degree that he did. I mean, see, I wanted to see
and get away with it.
Yeah, because it wasn't good enough for me to just say, oh, it was it wasn't a fair trial and he got screwed over. I wanted to see how did Bugliosi get away with it? And you can actually track it if you look through the whole case of the trial. You can track it. He does it a little bit here that leads to that over there, and then another little thing over here. It's just mind-boggling what this man went through to be able to do this the way that he did it. Like, the overallness of it is just insane. I can't believe that he would even want to do it or have the thought in his head to do it the way that he did it.
Right.
But
wow.
And everything that Manson has been saying to everyone, it's been true. Like when he's sitting there saying like, oh, well, I got screwed over for my trial and the district attorney did this and it was for political reasons and he wanted to get elected. It really was those things.
Really? I actually haven't yet to find something that he claimed was true that wasn't. I not one. And that's why when I hear people like you, because I haven't, I do know a little bit about the case, but I didn't study it in depth like you and a lot of the other, like James Dawson and other people that have studied the case, the transcripts inside and out, that, like the 18 months diminished capacity thing and things of that nature. Like when he talked about a lot of this stuff, I didn't understand it. Like, I didn't even know what the fuck a pro per was. I had to fucking Google it. Like,
yeah.
But to find out that, and then to find out what was going on behind the scenes, like the shit Rusty the bailiff was pulling by letting these black inmates into his cell and, just things of that nature. I just thought, how in the world how did they get away with this? How did Bugliosi get away with all this shit? That not one journalist in this entire fucking world of ours stepped forward and said, wait a second here. Now they're starting to today, but I'm talking back then, like, wait a minute here. And I even said to Charlie, why didn't you say anything? Why didn't you speak up when the cameras were in front of you? when you had the chance to. And he said to me, because I had to go back there. And I was never thought, well, what does he mean by back there? That means back in that cell. Like, how do you rat out the people that are looking over you every day? You can't. And especially back then, because they got away with fucking murder back then, these people.
Wow. Yeah, there was a bunch of times when Kinerick would go to the judge with something and then Manson would downplay it completely. Oh, I don't want to say that. I'm not going to say who said that. Yeah, they did this, but it was nothing. He would completely diminish it. But then
He was afraid.
there was one day though when he gave up. He would not come down to court. They had to carry him down into court. He didn't resist, but they actually picked him up and carried him into court. And he had a little meeting with the judge. And he just told the judge that I can't do it. I just can't do it anymore.
You know what did it for me, honestly? Now, you got to remember, I walked into this thinking he was the evil hippie cult leader, and I wanted that autograph. What did it for me was, okay, nothing was working. Okay, so I says, all right, let me see. Let me watch more of this guy's interviews. So I started watching more of his interviews. And the one thing that stood out to me the most was how this guy really thinks he's innocent. Like, holy shit, this guy really thinks that his rights were stolen or whatever, right? So anyway, it wasn't until I read Joseph Ball's assessment of Charles Manson that I really stopped and I thought to myself, wait a second here. Here's a guy who supposedly at the time was like the state's leading, or he was the I don't know what I can never say that word. The state's psychologist, or what was he? Anyway,
Joseph Ball, he was an attorney. He worked with the he was like head of the state bar, and he was supposed to consult with Manson to essentially talk him out of doing his own like self-representation.
I thought he was. Yeah. I thought he was hired to assess Manson to see whether or not Manson was competent enough to represent himself. But anyway, when you read that,
the very fine brain. You're talking about the guy that says
yes. When you read that assessment, meek, mild-mannered, soft-spoken Southern gentleman, with a fine brain. Yep. But anyway, It doesn't fit the man that I knew as Manson, that crazy, like the crazy guy that Bugliosi showed us, right? So it's like, wait a second, this guy doesn't match this guy. But anyway, so I put it in the back of my brain. But as I got to know Charlie, and years went by, and I stumbled across this article entitled "Why Charles Manson is Entitled to a New Trial." I don't know who wrote it, but it's brilliant. So I read it, and they mentioned Joseph Ball's assessment of Manson in that article. Yeah. And I went and revisited that assessment, and now that I know the man, that's the Charlie I know. So I said, wait, this doesn't make sense to me. So the more I started to pay attention, if you look at the Manson in the beginning stages of the trial, you're not going to let me. I just want to go to the desert, but you won't let me, will you? He was the Manson that Joseph Ball assessed. This meek, mild-mannered, soft-spoken, polite Southern gentleman. But somewhere in that trial, something clicked. And he turned into this long-haired, goatee, wild-eyed, crazed hippie cult. So I asked him, I said, Charlie, what was it like that made you snap?
Wait, can I guess? Can I guess before you tell me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Was it when they took his pro-per away?
Bingo.
Nice.
Yep. He said that he realized that his trial was being tried through the media, and that no matter what he did, he was not going to get a fair trial, and that every motion that he filed was shot down before they even gave him, like he just said, I gave the world what they wanted. And and I said to him, but it's like you shot yourself in the foot. It's like you could have just told them and broke. And when I tell you, he snapped. When I said, you could have just told them, he said, you don't think I tried?
Wow.
Like you don't think I'm still trying to this day.
Yeah.
And I realized, whoa, like I'm sorry, like I didn't mean. He's like, no, man, you don't think that I've tried? Nobody wants to listen. They just want their cult leader. They just want their books and their movies. And bro, I just said, oh my God, like,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
I realized like that moment, like I knew, like, okay, well, so what am I doing here? Like, I know I can't fucking do anything. And I think that's what.
Well, that's why I say, John, that's all that mattered to him. Okay.
But you know what, bro? I came so close to getting him, like, I shouldn't say a new trial, but at least it heard. And all he needed to do, and I think that's why I got so upset when he wouldn't sign that fucking paper.
Yeah.
And like I got emotional with him for the first time, and I was crying, and I told him, like, you have a chance to fucking walk out of there, man. Like, why won't you fucking take it? And he fucking opened up and just, and I understood, you know, it's after so many decades.
Yeah, I've said that many times. He doesn't want to go back in court because of what they did to him the first time. He's afraid to go back in there.
He said to me, they're going to put me back in death row, soldier.
Yeah.
They're trying to do it now.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't stopped looking for bodies that don't exist. You know why they're doing that? I've got some fucking guy. This is when Paul Dosty and Deborah Tate were with that dog. Yep. He's like, I had nightmares about that dog.
Yeah.
He says, and I got to know Paul and his dog. But anyway, and he told me they're trying to put me on death row. And then, you know, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I would always lose sight that I'm also talking to a man who's been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
Yes.
So even though I don't see it, it was real to him.
Very real.
And he felt safe on PHU, and he felt protected, and even said it to me. And I'm so glad that we had this conversation, because he said, like, where would I go? What would I do? Yeah. I wouldn't be safe out there. And no matter where I went. Yes. And I said to him, you can come here, Charlie. I got 2 empty bedrooms. I own my own company. I could take care of you. You will never have to work. Just do it. And I used Creepy Carpus as I said, look at Alvin. Alvin lived out the rest of his life on a Brazilian beach. You could do the same, Charlie. You could meet a young Brazilian, and he's like, I don't want that, soldier. He says, look, let me explain something to you. No matter where I go, they'll never be safe, and I wouldn't put that on you and your family. He's like, man, you wouldn't be able to walk out your door. And I says, but I don't give a fuck, Charlie. He's like, but I do. This is my home. I'm safe here. Look, man, I don't want to get a gun. I'll have to buy a gun. He's like, I don't want to walk around and spend the rest of my life looking over my shoulder for some young punk looking to make a name for himself. He's like, and I don't want to hurt nobody. And I.
What a predicament, buddy. What a predicament. Wow. That fucking prosecutor.
Yeah, but I realized at that moment, it's like, well, who was I doing this for? Me and my ego? Right. Or him, right? But you got to remember, and I said to him, then why did you keep fucking saying, if you love me, you want to do something for me, give me my rights. You want to do something for me, give me my rights. And I try to get, and I get that, and you won't. And he said to me, yeah, you know why? Because how many people you think have told me they were gonna? No one's ever gotten as far as you did, soldier. Right. And when you did, he's like, you scared me. He's like, I for the first time, I was faced with the possibility of walking out of here or going back to death row, and I just don't want to take that chance, soldier. They're trying to kill me. Don't you understand it? Like, bro, he really believed the state of California was trying to kill him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can see why he would have believed that too. I certainly can see why he would have believed that.
Yeah.
But I've always felt like that about him not wanting to go back into court necessarily for trial, but he wanted it to be corrected. He wanted it to be officially corrected. Hey, he wanted, you know what? This decision has to be thrown out because we found misconduct on the prosecutor's side, or we found this violated his due process or his rights as a defendant. That's what he wanted. In my opinion.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And
he would have been happy to spend the rest of his days in prison for the other crimes if he could have just had that one straightened out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because you know what, bro? He wasn't, and this is where I got confused. You know, and even said it, like when I was asking you to get me my rights, I wasn't asking you to get me my freedom. You know,
right?
And I was like, whoa! I never fucking looked at it like that. Look, I'm home. He's like, this is where I'm. Look, this is where I've spent my life. This is the only life I know.
You're assuming his rights for this meant he
wanted out.
Yeah, you assumed that's what it meant. Yes, right, correct.
No, he did not want out.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That wow.
I don't know if it's crazy or not, or he's just recognizing who he is. Like he's taken. That's what I'm talking about. This guy. Like I'm not by any means supportive of him in a way of I'm more fuck the prosecutor, but I will say this: Charlie Manson never had a problem with accountability. He's never had a problem owning up to anything that he ever done that I can see. And that's one of the reasons I kind of believe him when he says I didn't have anything to do with these murders. Yeah. That's not the only reason. Believe me, I've got other evidence that proves that he didn't as well. But the fact that he owns up to everything else, and this is the only thing he says, I didn't do this. And then on top of the fact of what was put on him through all of this, I can certainly see why he would be paranoid and certainly want this thing corrected at some point.
I never thought about that. He wanted his rights, not his freedom.
Yeah. Tawna, you mentioned something back in the, you mentioned something to me the other night when we were talking during the week about this next show we were doing. You mentioned something that was said during the parole hearing. He told the parole board. Repeat that, if you would.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
Remember when he was in the parole, you were talking about he was in the parole hearing and he said, you're going to have to deal with it.
Oh, yeah. He made some comment about how they're going to eventually have to deal with what's happened here. And even when he dies, they're still going to have to deal with it. It's not
talking about the injustice.
Oh, yes. Yes, I saw that too.
And not getting his rights. The way they blow it off, the way they blew off the appeal. They didn't even address the issues that needed to be addressed in the appeal. Like they completely rigged the appeal.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's how bad this is. That's why I've made this like a passion of mine, because of the iconic nature that this represents, the pop culture, the political aspect, the pop culture aspect. I mean, this case touches all aspects of life, even till this day. They still refer to it in politics.
Oh, yeah.
In television, in TV shows. And they're always referring to it because of the image, the way, the narrative that the bug put out there. Okay? That's why I do this. That's why this is important to me. I'm not trying to support this guy. Look, he's guilty of a couple other things I'm not in favor of. But boy, this one was such a miscarriage of justice in this one that I can't let this go, man. I'm going to go rail against the bug till I die, probably.
Right. It really is. And you know what, Brian? If speaking of Joseph Ball and the assessment and all that, there's an actual footnote in Bittaker versus Whitaker, or Whitaker versus something. I'll send it to you, where Charles Manson is actually mentioned specifically in footnote number 2 of this case, where these two men in a similar situation as Manson's had their case overturned and they walked out of prison.
Okay, yeah.
They were denied their fucking right to self-representation, and the state of California failed to give it to them retroactive, and they sued federally and won and walked out of fucking prison.
I think you're talking Ferretta, the Ferretta case.
The Ferretta case. And Manson is mentioned by name specifically in footnote number 2 of this case,
There you go.
where the state of California admits that one of their prisoners, Charles Manson, would benefit specifically from this law. And I thought to myself, oh my God, how has no attorney ever looked at this and said, well, wait a minute, who's doing something about this? Nobody. You know why? Just like the governor, nobody wants to put their name on freeing the devil.
That's right.
Or speaking up for regardless to what you think of the man. It's like, my God, you guys just let a guy die in prison for fucking damn near 60 fucking years because you think he might have told somebody to go kill some people? That's insanity.
I'm just impressed that you knew about the Ferretta case.
Yeah. I brought it up to him, and he just didn't understand what the hell it was like. And I get it. I think the closer I got to getting him a new trial on the federal, because it was that fucking that gave me the idea, was that article I was telling you about. Unless Charles Manson's only hope is to get a new trial at the federal level. That's where I got the idea. I didn't know about law. I'm a fucking punk kid from the streets of Boston. But when I started to read up on it, and my best friend, my childhood best friend, Stephen Scally, if you're listening, he owns a law firm here in Boston, and I asked him about it, and he didn't even know about it, and he told me your best bet is to get it at the federal level, and that's what I did.
Yeah. Yep.
And I went to Jerry Spence, who was I just Googled the fucking best defense attorney to fight the government. Boom, Jerry Spence's name popped up. I didn't know who Jerry Spence was until I found out, he was the same lawyer that fought the government in the Ruby Ridge case. So I said, hey, who better to help fight the government than the guy that beat the government? Yeah. So I started writing to him. And
was he actually kind of like happy to take the case?
Well, no, here's how I approached it. Like I just said, I have a close friend who's been in prison for X amount of years. He's a very high profile case. And I explained his situation without telling him who it was, right? Now check this out, right? And he wrote me back, man. I was surprised. And he was I could tell he was interested to find out who my friend was. So anyway, we started, conversing back and forth, and I was at a crossroads where I had to tell him who I was talking about, right?
Yeah.
To take it to the next level, he has to know. So when I told him, if I remember correctly, his exact words were, "You are one tenacious little motherfucker," because I wouldn't let him say no.
Yeah.
I wasn't giving up.
Right.
And what pissed me off is he even said this. He's like, you're wasting your time. You get him out of prison, then what? You're better off finding some poor black guy on death row. That's what he said to me. That really, needs that. But what are you gonna do? You get him out of prison, then what? And then I just said to him, then I get justice, Mr. Spence. That's what. Isn't that what we're all here? Isn't that what you signed up for? Justice. And he got mad at me, bro.
Wow.
So I said to him, he said, let me explain. He said, I'm retired, but if you can get this in front of a federal judge, I will come out. I got the emails to prove it. I will come out of retirement. He goes, and I will help. He says, but let me tell you what you're going to need. You need a miracle.
Yeah.
And that being some new evidence, some new evidence that proves that and I'm like, he's like, and in a case this old, this vast, that's this well covered, you got a better chance at finding an innocent black man on death row. That's when he said that. So I was like, whatever, right? So not even a month later, I'm gonna even say maybe a week or two, the Tex Watson tapes were, and it was like, oh my God, there's my new evidence. So I asked him, Mr. Spence, this just happened. Is this? He's like, that's it. That would be sufficient. That's what made me move forward with it. Now I have it's just like fell out of the sky. Like this is a sign from above. It just fell into place. And we just started, and I think Nicholas helped me. but we started getting the ball rolling on it, man. But getting Charlie to get on board was like pulling fucking hen's teeth. Because I think the closer we got to it, hey, look, all you need to do is sign your name on this fucking dotted line, man, and I can get it in front of a federal judge. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Because that's the only relief he ever was going to have, bro. The state of California wasn't going to give him his rights. They're not going to admit that they did him dirty. Never. They still won't. Now that he's dead, they still won't.
No.
Unless we make them.
That's right. Unless you like the Menendez brothers.
I'd like to find one person in that district attorney's office from back then that actually would come out and say, you know what? We knew it was a bunch of bullshit. We knew that motive was a bunch of bullshit.
And Stephen K. damn near almost did that in his documentary. I'd like to know what's on that cutting room. Yeah. I'd like to know what's on that cutting room, that editing room floor. What they cut out. Now that I know that they tried to cut out what Diane Lake said, I wonder what else they cut out. Maybe he did.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
But like Mr. Spade said, you get him out and then what?
Yeah. Well, and I've said this before. I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but John, I really feel like he would have never got out. There's no way he would have got past the Gary.
No way.
And the Shorty Shea murders.
He knew it.
Yeah. So that probably wasn't going to happen. But to me, that I'm not going to get involved in those. I have no problem. Charlie Manson didn't have a problem.
Look at Bobby Beausoleil.
Well, I'm saying Manson didn't have a problem accepting guilt on those two cases. He's never questioned those. He's never fought against those two convictions.
Right.
Okay, so I don't have an interest in those two murders other than I'm sorry they happened for the victim and the families of the victim, but I'm not trying to, I believe Charlie when he says, yeah, I'm guilty on those two. Okay, well, that's you're in for life.
You know what? He didn't never said that about the Hinman case. In fact, he told me, look, I was gone for 2 days before Bobby killed that motherfucker. That's
I'm not saying he was part of it, like as in the plan with Bobby. I'm saying that because he went over there and he put that blade to his ear, and that blade, according to the autopsy, that knife, that shot to the ear. Could that in itself could have been fatal, so
coulda, shoulda, woulda, but it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. I mean, in other words, had Bobby not have stabbed him, he would have died from that shot to the ear.
If he didn't get to the hospital in time, maybe. But that's one man's opinion.
You're right. And it happened to be a coroner, though. Okay, so I'm just saying. My point here is just that I've never heard Manson argue against the Hinman conviction.
I have.
See, I've never heard. I would love to hear it. I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you and saying.
Oh no, I hear you, bro.
I've just never come across where he's been, so much against that. Those two convictions. He's always been against.
I think Danny DeCarlo is more culpable in that murder than Charlie was.
Absolutely.
And what, the Hinman?
Yeah, Danny DeCarlo was the one that put the knife in his hand, sent him over there, threatened him, you get the fucking money or they're going to kill your ass. Fuck, I think he even drove his ass over there. I'm not sure. I think DeCarlo's the one that dropped his ass off.
That's what the straight Satans say. I'll tell you what, let me take a moment and see if I can pull up this oldie but goodie. And because I think I can kind of confirm that, actually. The straight Satans, they used to have I got so much junk here in these folders. Wait, here it is, I think. The straight Satans had a Instagram account. Here it is right here. Yeah, hang right here. See if this comes up. I think I uploaded it in the wrong spot. Hang on, I got to put it over here. This is fucking StreamYard. Fucking joke. Okay, let's try this. Yeah, look.
Carlo got what he walked. He didn't even. He got immunity.
A lot of them. I mean, I don't know anybody that didn't get something out of the deal for testifying for the prosecution. I really don't. I don't know anybody that didn't get something. Everybody got a job or got hired or got promoted or got a book tour. They got just any gun charges dropped. I mean, there's all kinds of things.
Their kid back, a new name, new location.
Yeah. I mean, they got all kinds of
$30,000.
All right,
I don't know how true that part is. That's a lot of money back in those days.
Oh, yeah. Let me. Where'd this thing? I just had this thing here. Oh God bless it. Where'd it go?
You know, I James Dawson and I sat down one night and we added it up. You know how much money they had on that ranch during the time of the murders? Between
10 grand,
what Linda,
10 grand,
much more than that. The $5 grand Linda stole alone back in that was a lot of money back then.
It was
$5 grand.
That was like $33,000.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's not including the money that Tex stole from Lots of Papa. The fucking, you know, they had what money? Where did all that money go?
Supplies, man, for the desert.
The credit card fucking fraud that they were pulling left and right.
Dude, they had to have supplies up there in that desert. Can never have.
Charlie told me that, you know, I don't know how true this is. But Charlie told me, you know, Bugliosi made it out like I was trying to take my family out to the desert to find some bottomless pit. It wasn't even my idea to go out there. He's like, I think it was Cappy or someone who's had a grandmother.
Cappy had a grandmother. Yeah, Cappy had a grandmother out there.
She told me about this beautiful place that her grandmother had, and I just, fuck it, let's go.
Listen,
like, you know.
Can I say something about that? Dude, how about that story, man? This is one of the funniest stories of this whole freaking, I think it's one of the funniest stories of the whole freaking saga here, is their trip out there to the desert the first time when they met Cappy's grandmother, and they had the Myers Ranch and the Barker's Ranch.
Oh, and he gave her the Beatles thing.
He gave her the Beach Boys gold record.
Yes. Yeah, the Beach Boys, I mean. Yes. That's the kind of guy he was, bro. He just gave shit away.
You're out there wheeling and dealing the Beach Boys gold fucking records in the desert, dude. Come on.
Unbelievable.
Hilarious.
He was like that to the day he died. I would get him a brand new flat screen. Fucking, and this is when LCD just first come out. Like, he's never seen a flat screen, right? And he's like, because we used to buy him remember the big fat TVs? Right? Mm-hmm. He was like, oh, man, this thing is amazing. And it had a DVD player in the side of it. He loved it. So it's like, oh, I felt so good. Like, yeah, I got him his first fucking LCD. Yeah. He's like, yeah, man, fucking Big Toe loves it. I'm like, Big Toe? Yeah. What do you mean, Big Toe? He's like, yeah, I gave it to him. I'm like, you gave it to him? I just bought it for him. He's like, you're not mad at me, are you? Like, oh, no. Yeah, I need you to get me another one. I gave mine to Toe. It's like, what the fuck? These inmates just took advantage of. They knew the kind of heart he had, and he just give his shit away. You like it here, like the vest that the girls made for him. Remember that vest?
I'm just trying. Hold that thought. I'm just trying to put this in my head. You're out there in 1968. In the middle of the fucking desert. I assume this is Death Valley, of course. It's got to be, blazing hot, 120, 30 degrees out there, I'm guessing, or whatever it is in the desert. And you come up upon this whole broken down ranch that's still left there. And how much you want for the ranch, ma'am? I didn't really think about it. I guess I'll take, maybe 10,000, maybe for the whole thing as is. $10,000. Yeah, that'd be good. Tell you what, how about this gold record from the Beach Boys?
Isn't that crazy, bro? Would you imagine what that would be worth today?
Right. But that lady, Cappy's grandmother, no disrespect, but I'm assuming, being a grandmother, she probably had no idea how much that would have been worth. And she like, it's probably just not even, I don't need no gold record. I want the money.
What's a beach boy? I don't want to like a boy from the beach.
When I play that whole scenario over in my head, I think it's one funny scenario. I just laugh my ass off at the possibility of what that.
But didn't she take it though? Didn't she?
I think she did. Yeah, I think she did because he got the ranch. He got the ranch.
Right.
So I guess she did. Here's what I've always thought. John, I've always thought, right in true Charlie Manson fashion, I'm assuming he stole the gold records. Like, I can't imagine.
He told me Dennis gave it to him because he was afraid.
I'm sorry, dude. I have to doubt that one.
Yeah, Dennis was afraid. You know what? He also told me that he gave him a Ferrari that Tex totaled.
Yeah.
Or was it Clem? One of them totaled it.
I think it was Clem.
Clem did it. Yeah, Clem did it. And maybe he's right. I mean, he was there. It's his friend. I mean, he's probably telling the truth. But I find it hard to. I'm only doubting it because of the whole. People go their whole lives in their professional career, and they want they work for a gold record. If you're in the music industry like that, you work for your awards. Be an actress, actor, whatever. I can imagine you win the gold record. It's a pretty good accomplishment, and then you just give it away. I don't know.
Well, he was. No, what happened was.
I know Manson. Go ahead.
No, he told me what happened. That he went to him. He first went to the manager because here's what happened. He went to Brian, and Brian says, "Yeah, go see my manager. Will take care of it." And when he went to the manager told him, "Fucking sue me." And he goes, "Sue you, motherfucker? I'll blow your fucking house up. Like, I ain't gonna sue you."
Now that's the famous. That's the famous.
That's not the garbage. That's not the garbage. I'm the garbage man here to take off the. No, that's a different.
No. I'm talking. Is that what you're talking about? Is that the encounter with Grillo, the Beach Boys?
I'll call New York. Oh,
I'll call New York.
No, that's a different incident. This is when Manson snuck up on them, and Greg Jacobson was there that night, and Manson came through the back door. And they all fucking looked like they saw a ghost because they didn't expect him to be there. And he said, "Where's my fucking money?" And that's when, Brian, from the Beach Boys, the drum, Dennis. That's when Dennis said to him, and he said, "No. I went to see your fucking manager, and your manager told me to fucking sue him. I'm not leaving here without my fucking money." And that's when Dennis Wilson gave him the gold record and said, "Here, take this."
Okay.
But don't sell it until I'll get you your money. But here, take this as collateral. And here, take my Ferrari.
Okay.
Gave him the keys to the Ferrari and the gold record.
Okay. I didn't know that.
And Charlie said, "Okay, give it to me." And he let Clem drive it, and Clem totaled the fucking thing.
Wow.
And then he's like, now you're not getting your money. You just totaled your money.
So that's a firsthand story you got from Charlie.
Yeah, and when he tells the story of coming through the back door, it was so funny the way he talks about them turning to see and try. It's like they saw a ghost, and he's like Greg Jacobson was there, Dennis Wilson was there, and I got that call. I should pull that call and let you listen to it.
Yeah,
It's so funny. It's so funny the way he says it. He's like, "Sue you? I won't fucking sue you. I'll blow your fucking house up."
Yeah,
I just got out of prison. I ain't gonna fucking sue you.
All right, Maga Zorlak said that was Arlene. That's not Cappy's grandmother. I'm pretty sure it was Cappy's grandmother. Somebody double check that.
I heard it was Cappy's grandmother too.
Yeah, somebody double check that and let me know.
Or Cappy's grandmother had a place out there.
Yeah, no, I thought it was literally her grandma.
And the Barker Ranch was for sale, and then they maybe traded the Barker lady. But I know it was Cappy's. Well, according to Charlie, it was Cappy's idea to go out to the ranch.
I know it was Myers Ranch, but I'm pretty sure it was.
There was
Cappy's
no bottomless pit.
No, I'm pretty sure it was Cappy's grandmother, though. I realized. I realize it was Myers. I realize that. I'm saying that was.
I heard that Cappy's grandmother got that record.
Yeah, that he made the deal with. Yeah, the gold record deal. Yes.
That could be wrong.
I could be wrong too, for that matter. So that's what I'm saying. Correct me, anybody that has got the real story.
I would love to know where that gold record is today.
Oh, how about it? Yeah, that'd be great. Interesting. All right, let's go back here for a second. Let's go back to this what you said a minute ago, John Michael, about Danny DiCarlo driving Bobby over there.
Mm-hmm.
This came out, I don't know, some years back. This is an old post here by the Straight Satan's Instagram account. You can see it right here, Straight Satan to the top.
Oh, I see it.
Yeah. If you read this, what they posted, and you get on down and they'll tell you what the deal was and all this and that they testified in court. And you get down here to kind of like midway. And they'll tell you here. They're talking about going back to get DiCarlo 1,000 hits of mescaline for $1,000. The drugs ended up making the club sick. So DiCarlo and a few Satans went up to the ranch, beat Bobby Beausoleil up. So I didn't know that. They beat him up, they say here. And said, quote, get us our fucking money back, end quote. He told them, yeah, continue reading. He told them he didn't have the money and that he bought the drugs from Gary Hinman. So, and here he says right here. So DiCarlo drove him to Hinman's house and dropped him off. So there you go.
But not just that. I like how they're leaving out the fact that before Bobby got out of the car, he said, what am I supposed to do? And he said, handed him a knife. He said, here, take this, and gave him a fucking knife.
Yeah. See?
So, and DiCarlo got away with fucking, well, I can't say murder, but accessory anyway.
Yeah. Again, I think there were some gun charges he had a pending too that was dropped, is what I always heard. So there's a couple things DiCarlo got out of that. But the fact that the club, the Straight Satan's account here, which as I understand was it's like legit. I don't know who runs it personally, the exact person, but this was
that's on their own website.
Yes, this was a legit account. And here's something too. You go down here, I think is very, very interesting. If you look at the bottom paragraph, they're talking about the picture up here that accompanies this post. On the right is Straight Satan Bobby D. During his arrest, he used the alias of Robert Reinhardt. Remember the Satans who stabbed the guy 79 times and threw him in the canal? That was him. His whereabouts.
Wow.
Like, I think a lot of the biker clubs were responsible for a lot of unsolved murders around there. A lot of the murders they tried to blame probably on, serial killers or some other. I think it was people like the bikers. Like, how are you going to find somebody named
exactly
Slim, all right, or Stickman? How are you going to track somebody down like that?
Especially somebody that lives a gypsy lifestyle that's always on the move.
Yeah. Yes.
Never.
Yeah. So I think a lot of those unsolved murders, and look how savage this one is. 79 times. 79 times.
And you know what, bro? It takes me back to what I talked about earlier when Charlie said, I don't want to buy a gun. I don't want to hurt nobody. Like, come on, man. This is the hippie cult leader, right? The guy that ordered all these murders. Like, the fucking most evil man in the world who doesn't want to buy a gun and have to hurt somebody. And you look at his record, the guy's got no record of violence before or after.
Right.
That whole incident where he raped the little boy in the shower. That little boy was 4 years older than he was. What are you talking about? And that was consensual.
I think there was a plan behind that. Manson was trying to take the heat and said, look, if we get caught, I'm going to say I raped you. Yeah. And you know why? Because
say I made you do it.
You get more respect than you would be if you were gay back then.
Yep.
Or, if you were just going in there doing gay acts for the hell of it, and they found that out, the other boys or whatever he was in, that little boy, like the other guys in there would have probably beat the shit out of him. But hey, I forced him to do it. Oh, you know what made me
blow my mind is learning that the kid was 4 years older than Charlie. Charlie was the little boy. It's like, but the way the media twisted and made it sound like this, I hate the fucking media, man.
I know, dude. They do it. They do it, man. They still, to this day, they're doing it. That's why
they're the worst of the worst, bro.
I love it. Yeah, that's why I love the way this thing is shifting nowadays. The citizen journalism, and Elon Musk is saying, "You're the media. You're the media,
true.
People," and it is true. It is true, and we're seeing that right now every day. Every day.
Look at you tonight when you said, I will spend the rest of my fucking life trying to fucking get the bug back for what he's done, right?
Absolutely.
Fuck the bug. He's a piece. What other journalist would stand up and say what you just said tonight? It won't happen.
I can't help it, dude. I cannot help it. It's the worst. It's honestly the worst miscarriage of this justice system I've ever seen an example of, ever. Given the magnitude of this case, it's the worst, and I
I
can't just let it go.
I watched an interview recently with Billy Mintz, where Billy Mintz was asked, what made him, take this like project and to take on a case that's been done 100 times. And Billy said something that reminded me of you. And Billy said, I'm not going to quote it because I don't remember verbatim, but he said that. He said, because if the injustice can happen to him, it can happen to any of us. And I thought, fuck, that's what Brian said. Like, and it's true. It's true.
It's
like we can't look at it like this is what's done to Manson. It's what's been done, period.
Yes.
Forget
that's how I do it. That's how come I do this. That's how come I can laugh.
Right.
That's why I can laugh at things Charlie has done, or when I think he's funny, I can laugh at him. And I don't have, because I'm not a supporter or a hater. I'm not any of that. I just want to get the bug. Let's get this motherfucker out.
Yes. Yes.
Like I said, I don't go and I don't appreciate people glorifying what he did and all that stuff, or even having a part of it and trying to put him involved in it more. I think all these other people, they're doing exactly what the prosecutor wants them to do. They're investing into that image, they're perpetuating this whole thing, as I keep saying. And it's a shame, but it's not going to deter me from, putting that spotlight on the bug.
And what really blows me away, and Tom O'Neill's a perfect example of this, is that people that go to investigate the case and interview or sit down with Bugliosi comes out of that interview with a whole new perspective on who Bugliosi was and when they went in. Like, wait a minute, this guy's a dirty motherfucking crooked little motherfucker.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not going to say his name because in case he's still alive, but I know a man who was very close friends with Deborah Tate. And according to him, Deborah Tate confronted Bugliosi about something to do with, her sister. And Bugliosi threatened her to leave his fucking office or he's going to put a restraining order on her or something. Like, this is the victim's sister, you motherfucker. Like, you dirty, rotten motherfucker, you just made $40-something million off a book about her sister's death.
Yeah.
You think you'd have a little bit more respect for her than that, but he threatened the mailman. He threatened fucking Harold True. He threatened, that's his motive, man. That was what he did.
Yeah, that's what he did, man. You're exactly right. Also, what Bug liked to do throughout the years is, and it mostly happened, I think, along the lines in the 90s or so, I guess more so, because I don't think he really had a reason to do it throughout the rest of the time. But Vince Bugliosi would approach some of these authors that were putting out books on the case, and he would offer his consulting to the author because he's trying to get to the author to help the author form his opinion, if you know what I mean. And these authors are starstruck. They're starstruck by the help of the great Vince Bugliosi. Okay, so Bug does this to these authors that step up with a book, and they're usually so grateful to have the backing, the endorsement, the consulting, the help of the great prosecutor who actually got the conviction, that they end up putting out the book in true Bug Bugliosi form.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. And then Vince Bugliosi got to Tom O'Neill. And then things went different. For once, somebody stood up to the Bug.
That's right.
And didn't play the game. And that's why we got the book that we got. And that's why you see Tom O'Neill basically echoes everything we've always said about this guy. And he knows firsthand. He knows firsthand because he dealt with the Bug firsthand. So that's all I
just wish that he put that book out while Bugliosi was alive.
Yeah. Well, I hear you, man.
I would love to have seen that. Another thing I was told by a producer from Dateline, that NBC Dateline, that Bugliosi commanded a minimum. He had two things on his little rider. A rider is something that someone is like a list of demands that have to be met for their appearance.
Like Van Halen wanted
and Bugliosi had his own little rider.
Did he really?
Yes, and in his rider were he had to read the questions that you were going to ask. He had to agree to the questions that you were going to ask him, and a $6,000 minimum appearance fee. And back in those days, that was a lot of money, $6,000.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I would love to see that right now. I would love to see one of his riders. That would be great. I would just love to see
Can you imagine that? You're
I
a
would love it.
prosecutor and you got Ruddy, you fucking Van
Why do you have a
Halen.
rider? Yeah, I know,
No,
right?
no brown M&Ms.
Yeah,
Evian water only. I need 6 ice cubes in a bucket.
I know. Dude,
And, I need to go over all questions that are going to be asked, and I have to approve.
I would approve, pre-approve. I would love to see one of those ride. I would read one of them so hard on you. I would love to read one. Wow, over the air.
Scumbag. What a scumbag.
Totally, man.
Even have a rider. Who are you, dude?
He got away with it so long. And see, that's the thing I always say, like, the Bug was able to do this for like 40 some years before like some of us caught on to it. So
when did you catch on to it? What was it for you?
It was literally 2005 is when I actually got in it. Like, decided this is what I got to get into this thing. I was so wrapped up into it, but like everybody else, I came into it from the wrong angle. It took me a while to understand the angle of this whole thing. Okay. And it took me probably a couple years just to learn all of the characters in this story. I mean, that's part of the hardest thing. You got to know all of these characters and their roles in this story. That took me a while. I mean, I got in this thing in 2005 off of a blog called the Colonel Scott blog. It's still
up. I remember that, bro.
It's still out there, and I'm going to tell you, man, that was the greatest blog of all time. And I bet you if you still went back and read some of those, I bet you they would still ring true today.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't that guy the producer of the Transformers?
Yes, the movie producer. Don. Yes. Don, I forget his last name.
This guy's a reputable, like.
Oh yeah.
I remember him, bro.
And he went by the screen name of Colonel Scott.
Yes.
Yeah. So
wow, blast from the past.
Yeah, if you go back at 2005, you'll see my comments on that blog. Because that's where I started. That's where I started my journey into this shit.
Wow, that's still up there. I gotta go look for that.
Yeah, they're still up there, man, and it's a good read. I'm telling you, man, he brought up such good content that stuff is still viable today. It's still good today.
Anti-bug content.
Oh yeah, that's the one that got me onto the anti-bug. That's exactly what the Colonel focused on, was bringing the wrecking ball to the Bug. That's how come my attitude is the way it is about the Bug. That's what made me see the whole thing for what it was.
Why he's never done a movie.
I don't know.
This guy's a quadrillionaire. He did all the Transformers.
Not only that, dude, he wrote. Now let me put this in perspective. The Transformers, that franchise, had about 10 or 12 producers on that movie. Okay.
Yeah.
He was one of about 10 or 12 or something like that. Now, the Natural Born Killers, remember that movie?
He did that one too.
That was all him. There was no collection of producers on that one. That was all him. That was his movie.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's where I got my start into this thing.
I forgot all about him, bro.
Oh yeah, he's the one that put me on the wrecking ball path of the Bug. I would never be here if it wasn't for him, showing me the things that the Bug did. And that's where I got it, man. And I never stopped after that. I stepped my whole angle from that point on has been bringing the wrecking ball down to the lie that the Bug put out. Okay. And I didn't feel confident enough to start a radio program on this shit until 2011. That's how far it took me to study this case before I would even want to talk about this on the, publicly. I didn't have the confidence. I didn't have the knowledge. And I still learn things to this very day. So I'm never going to learn it all. I'm never going to have it all. It's always going to be learning and finding out things. Okay. It's always going to be that way. But one thing I definitely know that I don't have to be shown anymore. And that is the prosecutorial misconduct that the Bug put on all over this case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That I don't need to be. So that's how I started, John Michael. And that's why I am the way I am today about this case.
It's amazing that it took so many years for people to see it. It's amazing to me because it's so blatant.
Yeah, but you got to understand a couple things. The social temperature back then of the 60s, and I mean, these people were vanilla. These people were naive. They believed the government. They believed police officers. They believed all the good stuff that they were told.
Right.
Like they were so naive.
Yeah, even up into the 80s and 90s even. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Yes. So, and I don't know. I will say this, had the internet not come out, I don't know if we would ever get to the bottom.
I agree. 100%.
I think the bug would have got away with it completely had the internet come out.
The internet allowed the freedom of, like Elon Musk said, for people to become their own media.
And that is under the First Amendment of the Constitution of our rights. Okay, the Constitution, which is our Bill of Rights, the very first one, freedom of press, freedom of assembly. Okay, that's the very first one, and anybody can be press. So just remember that.
Wow.
And that's why we're seeing a shift right now. We're seeing a shift from legacy media, mainstream media, to citizen journalism. Now, just like any other type of media, just like any other type of media company, there's going to be some that are good at it, and there's going to be some that suck ass at it. Okay,
that's right.
You just got to determine which you can, which works for you or who you think is credible. But
that's why you're seeing an influx of those First Amendment auditor people.
Well, and that's it. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. That's exactly what I've been doing. I've got content ready. I don't mean to digress here, but I finally got content ready. I'm getting ready to upload it to my channel. I've got a channel for auditing that I've been doing, dude. This is going to take. I can't wait. It's gonna be good stuff.
It's right up your alley, bro.
Dude,
you're gonna be good at that.
I'm having a blast, man. I've got all this content already. I'm uploading it now. I'm in the process of uploading everything, and it's good. So anyway, that I digress. That's a whole nother project, but that is, you're right. It's what spurned. It's part of what made this whole 1A auditing movement happen. Okay, that the freedom of the press under the First Amendment. It's a powerful thing, man. It's a powerful thing. And we have the right.
It's important, bro. It's important that people get out there and exercise those rights, because if you don't, you're gonna lose them.
That's how you lose them, brother. That's what they want. They want you. They want that. They want you not to remember. They want you to not use them. So
that's right, and that's what they did to Charlie for all those years. With Manson, if you think about it, like look at that when Nick did that film and Charlie grabbed the wastebasket and he said, "You see this wastebasket? If I told them I wanted buckets of shit, they would have said no buckets of shit." People thought that was a joke. That was going on back then.
Yes,
it never ended for him, bro.
Right.
All the way up to the day he died, he dealt with that.
Yes. If I break that wall, if I break that wall out right now, they'll write a whole new policy about that, about me. They write policies. Hey, there you go, Sean C. Thank you, by the way, Sean C. It was Don Murphy. That's the guy's name. Thank you.
Don Murphy. Yes.
I couldn't remember the last name.
When I found out who he was, because I talked to him once or twice. That's it. But over the years, when I first, like you, he was one of the go-to sites. That website of his.
Oh, but, I thought he was the best. I thought it was the best site.
Yeah, I never knew who he was until someone told me. I was like, well, because he, like you said, he went by the alias Colonel Scott.
Yes.
And I thought, well, what the, like make him like Stoner Van Houten, someone that adopts the name of the characters involved in the case.
Yes.
Because Colonel Scott was Charlie's father. So anyway, when I found out who he was, I like to fucking fell out of my chair. Like, holy shit, this guy's a reputable Hollywood fucking hotshot producer.
Yeah.
Who did Natural Born Killers. That's like,
dude, he is so invested in the bug being a piece of shit, right? And I when he pointed all that out, it was amazing. I thought, okay, this is it. This is the direction. This is the direction to go. Yeah, absolutely.
Like we said earlier, I think until it happens, like people ask, what do you think it is about this case that keeps this case alive and going? Well, that is that people know that there's an injustice done here.
Yeah.
And until that's rectified, it's not going to lay to rest.
And I think it's only going to get bigger as the years go by.
Exactly.
Right.
And
that goes
we
back
need.
that goes back to what Charlie said in that parole hearing. Y'all are going to have to deal with this eventually.
Yes.
I'm dead and gone. You're going to have to deal with it. Okay.
Yep.
And that's what's coming now. The roosters are coming home to roost.
And you get someone with the backing like Don Murphy, and you get someone with the balls to do the film like the way it should have been done, where you allow the fucking narrative to be told and you feed the narrative a little bit, and then halfway through you slowly, gradually show what a piece of shit snake Bugliosi was.
Yep. That's how you do it, man.
That's it.
I wish somebody would talk with me seriously. I could put the perfect documentary out there.
Bro, I thought your documentary almost did it for the most part.
Well, it was close. It was close. I mean, I will say that it was close. But I would like to have somebody make the movie. I don't know anything about making a fucking movie. Okay, I can't do that. I'm not a movie maker. I'm not good at video at all. I'm an audio guy. I'm a radio guy. But I can put together in my mind how this thing should be. A documentary should really be about this case. But who's going to take a chance on that?
Yeah,
on me?
what studio? Exactly. You got to get it to a studio.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah,
We're
it's hard
also
to do.
reaching the time and day and age where you really don't need studios that much anymore either.
Well, you're right. You're right, man. I mean, you're right. A lot of times, it's just a freaking iPhone and some software will do it almost.
That's it, brother.
It's crazy. I know.
That's
it's really
it.
Absolutely crazy what they've been able to do. But yeah, good stuff though tonight, John. Really good stuff. I
brother.
Really appreciate this. Do you want to stick around for a few more minutes with us? We're gonna
sure.
Okay, we're gonna get into something real quick to wrap things up with. In fact, talking about the bug and all this bullshit and prosecutor misconduct and so forth. We wanted to bring this up again tonight. We've been talking about this a little bit over the last few weeks, and I thought tonight we would kind of show more of a concrete example of what we're talking about. Tawna, you and I have been talking about this also on the side in our phone conversation, but this goes back to when we were talking about people coming out and telling us what was really going on behind the scenes. And I guess one of those people was Ronnie Howard.
Right. Yep. Are you going to bring out the
Yeah, go ahead and take us through this real quick and
well,
show us what you were talking about, what we're talking about here.
So Ronnie Howard, she was the one of the jailhouse informants that Susan blabbed to. And funny thing happened when she took the stand. They showed her a copy of her statement, and she says that she never said those things.
Statement to the police. Okay.
Yes, to the police. And
so this is after Susan made the comments to her.
Right. And we're already through the trials in progress. The whole thing is up and running.
So the trial's in progress and everything's going on, and then she comes back and go ahead.
Well, yeah, and they no, we can just show the transcript. It's crazy. So those words that we keep saying that Susan said right here. I believe on page 17 you state that Susan Atkins was stating to you when Sharon Tate asked her, well, why are you doing this? Don't kill me. Let me live. Let me live for my baby. And Sadie said, I've got no feeling for you, bitch. We're doing you a favor. We are releasing you from this earth. Is that correct? And Ronnie Howard says, no, that's not correct.
See, I've heard that too. I've heard that
Yeah.
was this. They made that a thing. Bug made that a thing.
It was a huge thing, a huge thing.
Yeah.
So here's where that originates from. And she's saying, I never said that. She says, I know it was in the transcript, but evidently some of the things that in that transcript are not correct because evidently they're relating my thoughts, which came later, but she never said that. So this is just one example in this trial of how everything is getting thrown way crazy here. It's
Like
not true.
things are being made up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
And here's Ronnie Howard saying this under oath. It's in the transcripts right here.
Yeah.
That I didn't say
that.
He's saying this under oath. Now, here's something to think about. How many? I don't know how many people. I'm asking legit, I guess. I don't know. It's not many. It can't be many. How many people spoke out against Bugliosi? We got Ronnie Howard. Right? That's about it.
Well, there was one other witness named Roseanne Walker, but
Roseanne Walker.
Yeah.
What happened with her? Do you know?
She revealed that he was harassing her to try to get her to come in and testify that Susan made a comment about the glasses.
Okay. Did she say that under oath?
Yeah, she did.
Okay.
Wow.
So there's a couple of examples right there. I want to remind everybody, by the way, of all the people that participated with the prosecutor on his side in the trial, Ronnie Howard, who actually came back and said, "Oh no, I didn't say that," she ended up dead. Nobody else. Yeah, Ronnie Howard ended up dead. Nobody else ended up dead. Because nobody else, other than the one lady Tawna just pointed out, nobody else turned against the bug. Nobody else went against him. This woman right here went against the bug and said, "No, I didn't say that." And guess what? She ended up dead. Now, I'm not saying the bug killed her. I'm just telling you what happened. I'm telling you the sequence of events.
Tawna, is it true? Is it true that? Well, I know it's true, but what is the real reason that Irvin Kanarick was not allowed to be Charlie's attorney? I don't know. Maybe is that? If I remember correctly, Charlie mentioned something to me about they wouldn't let Irvin be his attorney for some reason, but I thought he was his attorney.
Yeah. Well, there was two attorneys that he had, and they wouldn't allow him to have those attorneys previously.
Like what? How is that even legal? Who gets to pick you? Don't you get a right to pick your own fucking lawyer?
Well, it kind of rolled into that whole pro per thing. The judge gave him an ultimatum that either he had to have an attorney or he could represent himself. He couldn't have both, but he had already gotten two attorneys that were willing to represent him, and they were there in the courtroom. And so it was one of those things, well, you can either have them or you can have your own voice, and he had to choose his own voice. And then when they took the pro per away from him, then he got Kanarick after that. And they let him have Kanarick. They wanted to stop him because he was considered to be like an obstructionist attorney.
Yeah, that's why they wanted John.
Right.
They were worried about his delay. Yeah. They were worried about him delaying everything and holding the court up and everything.
But they couldn't actually prevent him from representing Manson.
Oh, so he wasn't stopped from representing Charlie ever?
Nope.
That's what I thought. I'm like, wait a minute. I thought he did represent Charlie.
Yeah, he might have been confused, and he might have been thinking of like those other attorneys. I mean, it was a long time ago, and he is
right. Yeah. Because he had nothing but great things to say about Irvin. Like he just thought the world of him. But when you listen to people talk, like you just said, when he was an antagonist, but when they did the documentary Making Manson, Linda Deutsch like said he was the worst attorney. He was like embarrassing himself in court, and I just thought, well, wait a minute, I thought Irvin was pretty damn good at what he was doing, but of course I didn't read the transcripts.
He objected to everything, like page after page, every question. I object.
Where did Irvin come from? The court appointed him, or did Charlie hire him, or? How did he come in the picture?
That's a good question. I don't know how he found him. I think maybe he just showed up and volunteered.
Someone told me that some rich lady that knew Charlie.
Kafritz?
Kafritz.
Yeah.
Oh my God, how'd you know, bro? Some rich lady came out of the woodwork and visited Charlie or wrote him a letter and offered to pay for Irvin.
Yeah.
And she's the one that, and I thought, well, she's rich.
Tom O'Neill alludes that it was actually Terry Melcher that paid for Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Tom O'Neill kind of alludes to that.
But my point is, whoever his attorney was did a fucking terrible job. They didn't even put on a defense. And when I said to Charlie, but you know, why didn't you fight? He said, because they wouldn't let us put on a defense. Soldier, don't you get it? Like, he got mad at me. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, that should have been right there. That should be grounds for the appeal. Let me answer this real quickly. One question I saw from Vibin Jivin. When did she die? And they're talking about Ronnie Howard. So let me go over that real quickly. It's already been answered in the chat room, but in case you didn't see it. So Ronnie Howard ended up dying in 1979. She was abducted or robbed by a cab driver. Supposedly they labeled him some gypsy cab driver, whatever that means. I guess some wild gypsy. I don't know. Anyway, so a cab driver abducted her and beat her, and she died from the injuries in the hospital. So that's how she died. And I'm not saying the bug was behind it. I'm just saying that's what happened.
Wow.
Who else has died that went against the bug? Nobody.
And that happened in California?
Where was that at? Not sure where the local. I'm assuming it was. I'm not sure, John. I can't recall that. I'm assuming it might have been in California, though. Yes, I'm assuming it. I shouldn't say that for sure, but yeah, I'm going to say that as an opinion. I think that was California.
You know something that I can talk freely about, speaking of dying and cars, and you know, in the documentary where Charlie talks about, and it was actually in one of the calls that we just listened to, if anyone caught on to it, when he talked about the dead doctors in the parking lot of Vacaville.
Yeah.
That really fucking happened.
Oh, I know. I love that when he does it. Look around. You know how many people are dead and gone? They couldn't yeah. I think that's wild, man. I think that's wild.
That really fucking happened. They found that guy in the parking lot of Vacaville with a hole in his fucking head.
Yeah. Yeah, that's some wild stuff, man. I'll bet you there is many stories. I'd love to hear some stories of, I guess there's probably tons of Charlie and the guards. What an inner battle he must have had with them throughout the years.
They were scum of the earth, bro.
I can imagine.
Some of them were scum of the earth.
I mean, I have never seen I don't know of any personally, but I've never seen any that look like they're even decent guys.
You want me to tell you real quick?
These correctional officers, they all look like they're power tripping egomaniacs.
Bro, listen to this. Charlie sent me his property one time, and it took me 8 months of fighting and filing and fighting and phone calls and going to the media and to get them to release that property. And I called one time, and I had to go through it's called R&R. And these motherfuckers got on the phone laughing and said to me, oh yeah, no, he sent that out. He sent it to I'm gonna make up a name because I'm not gonna fucking give this guy any fucking goddamn Bob Doe.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, he did. So first, I believe them because how would they know who Bob Doe is, right? So I'm like, oh, okay. I just want to make sure. Thank you. So when Charlie called, I said, hey man, they said that you sent it to Bob Doe. He's like, motherfucker, I didn't send it to Bob Doe. I sent it to you, man. They're lying to you. But these motherfuckers lied to me because I got the property a few weeks later. But that's how well these motherfuckers are that spiteful.
Wow.
That they lied to me and told me that it was sent to Bob Doe, who at the time was very well known for selling Manson memorabilia online.
Right.
He had his own little website where he sold serial killer shit.
Yeah.
Not just Manson shit, but how do they know this guy's name? Like, they must be watching the internet. They must be well versed on who to go to sell shit to.
For sure.
I can't tell you how many times back in those days I would catch guards selling shit on eBay, and I would always pretend like I was a collector with a lot of money.
Right. So you could get. Yep, I can see
so
why.
I could get inside, bro. I used to catch them all the time, and they would say, "Oh yeah, I work there." "Oh, you work there?" Like, yes, bro. These guys are slimy motherfuckers, man.
Sure, dude. For sure. For sure. I mean, that's why you always see them. They do like getting in trouble. They banging the inmates and stuff. Man, they're always doing some shit, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what stopped it? Is back in the 2000s. I don't remember the exact date. Corcoran got caught having inmates fight to the death, bro.
Wow.
Did they?
Fight.
Wow.
They got caught. If there was it was a nationwide news.
That's fucking insane.
Corcoran State Prison was caught having inmates fight to the death. You can Google it. And that's when it all ended. Corcoran wasn't getting away with shit no more.
Wow.
They became under the microscope. There's actual video footage of them standing there while inmates are killing each other.
And
bro, I'm not. There's a special yard where inmates, not like the main yard, it was a little bitty tiny yard, little fucking looked like the size of a basketball court.
Uh-huh.
And what they were doing was, instead of waiting to this block left to let this block on, they purposely allowed them to come out at the same time and lock the door and let them fight. They got caught doing it, bro. I knew Charlie. I was in touch with Charlie when that happened.
That is so insane, dude. I can't
Yep.
even. I can't even
forget
imagine.
what it was called. They called
imagine
it something.
living
was-
like that. That's insane.
Inmates fighting to the death.
Gladiator fights.
Yeah, that's
Gladiator.
what they called it. It's exactly what they called it. It was like it was like gladiators, and they were taking bets. The guards, bro.
God.
No wonder why Charlie was always afraid to open his mouth. I don't blame him.
You know it, man. That's insane. God damn. All right, look, man. This has been incredible, John
All
Michael.
right, brother.
We're ready to roll out of here tonight.
We're on next week.
Well, I'm not sure what we can do next week at this moment. So
Or the
can we?
week
Can
after,
we?
whatever.
Might have to-
I'm
yeah.
here.
Let's tentatively say next week. But if you would, I would ask everyone to kind of keep the notifications on or subscribe or whatever it takes, and I'll know more kind of toward the middle of the week what I'm able to do next week.
You got it, brother.
Dude, I've just got so many other oars in the water, so to speak, and I don't want to let it. I don't want to let it.
Me
sit
too.
right now. But if not next week, we will definitely pick this back up. Is that okay?
You
John
got it,
Michael?
brother. I'll be
Okay.
here.
Dude,
Tawna,
this
it was nice talking to you.
This has been
Yes,
incredible,
yes.
incredible last few weeks experience with you, John Michael, and thank you so much for giving us
Absolutely, brother.
giving us such great insight and another perspective to what the prosecution has always mislabeled the devil and the most evil man in America of Charles Manson. So thank you for giving us that insight, John Michael. It's been a game changer for me.
Yeah, absolutely,
And,
man.
This has been
And this is just the tip of the iceberg. I've got others where, right now I'm just, if you notice, I've just been playing the ones that mention channels, like tonight he said,
you know what? I forgot to bring that up, but you're right, because that has kind of been the whole
earlier in the call where he said that's all he does is run to the internet and post the calls. I wouldn't mind so much, but if he didn't have to lie, you heard it straight from his own mouth.
Yeah, right. He did. And I meant to ask you about that earlier. I guess we just got sidetracked with so much other.
But I'd like to break away from it and end it because I don't want to keep this shit going with channels. You know what I mean?
Well,
it's what's done is done.
Well, here's the thing too, John. I think without a doubt, we made the point, or you made your point.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd like to move on and play some other shit.
I would too, and I think that's what you've done here. You've opened up this door now to where we've made the point about this Mike Channels guy. Now I think people are just interested in hearing Manson's perspective on other things that we never thought he would have a perspective on or a sense of humor about or anything. Like we saw I never saw his humor side like I did tonight.
Yeah, like tonight, I really was taken aback by your reaction to him telling jokes, and then it dawned on me, hey, dumbass, these people never heard him tell a joke like this. And that's shit that I don't even think about because I was used to it.
Yes,
but
yes,
like it's important for people to see that side of him.
yes. I agree.
I'd like to see the side that I was talking about tonight. Yeah, yeah. If I didn't have to suffer this shit, things like that, where people can see the depressed side of him, so they can see that this guy had feelings and was human. You know, this guy had concerns, and
Yeah.
just like
Well, I think it's very important, you know, if we're trying to change this whole perception of this case, and we're trying to you know, fix this lie that the prosecutor put out there for 40 plus years before we could ever get up on it, then that's what we have to do. We're going to have to show that, you know, Manson was not this devil that the prosecution made him out to be. He wasn't the most evil man in America, as the Rolling Stone magazine put out during the trial.
Right.
And I think that's what these phone calls are showing, and that's what the documentary that you're featured in, Making Manson, is showing and is all about. And again, if you haven't watched it yet, check it out. Making Manson, featuring John Michael Jones, right here, as we've had him on for the last 4 weeks, streaming right now on the Cock. Woo,
All right, brother. I'll be in touch. Bye, Tawna.
Thanks,
Bye.
John Michael.
Bye.
John Michael Jones,
buddy.
once again, joining us here on the Tate LaBianca radio program. I don't know, Tawna. I just like that little nickname for some reason. The Cock.
You would like that.
Well, they took my twatter away,
Yes, they do.
so I got to have something else now to go on. But what a great guest John Michael Jones is, number one.
Yeah, this is
And,
it's blowing me away though. There's so many things that cross over and tie together when you know, like with the trial and the transcripts and what Bugliosi did, and then you hear this other perspective that we haven't been able to hear.
Yes,
So-
yes, exactly. And it's been very interesting, fascinating, funny. You know, it's been all kinds of emotions we've seen here throughout the last few weeks, and really cool how this whole thing developed into something that we didn't even see it developing into. Because as I said earlier, this thing started out as a kind of like a way for John Michael to straighten out some things that were being said about him by somebody else, namely Michael Channels in this community. Mike Channels made a couple of videos about John Michael that weren't true. And John Michael contacted me and said, "Hey, bro, can we do something? Because I got proof that Charlie didn't even like this guy. And he's lying about me." And naturally, I said, "Of course we can." So that's why we're here. That's what we've been doing the last few weeks. But lo and behold, it kind of went past that and turned into, like I said, more of our very own Making Manson audio docuseries.
Well, it's just like that page of transcript that I wanted to show. You know, like they're altering things at trial. They're making stuff up. They're fabricating information here. I mean, we've all heard that "I got no feeling for you, bitch," right? Like that's like a staple in the case.
Yes.
That Susan
Yeah.
Atkins said that.
Yeah.
And here we have, well, no, I never said she said that. Well, how did that get there? Right?
Mhm.
Somebody had to put it there. If she didn't say it, somebody had to put it there. So this is
I don't have any problem believing Ronnie Howard about that either. Do you? I mean, because the only other thing would be Ronnie Howard is lying.
And why would she lie about something like
There's
that?
no reason to lie there, right? So
Yeah.
I believe her.
So there are things that's just one tiny little thing in a sea of dozens of inconsistencies and problems like this that are in this trial.
Yeah.
And you take what John Michael has, and you take what's in the trial transcripts, and we take everything else that we know, and maybe we can actually make something happen. You
Yeah.
never know.
I've always kind of hoped that anyway, but I don't know. We'll see. That's what kind of we're doing here. But wow. Yeah. It's been a great ride these last few weeks for sure.
I'm loving it. He, you know, I just can't believe that he's willing to share all that information.
I know, right? I know, right? He just gave up all the phone calls to them, and then he's got these other calls that he didn't give to them. He says, "You know what? We'll play them on your show." So I think we've got a lot of more content coming for some more, you know, insight to Manson. And I want to say too, I really believe this. I believe, because I've listened to a lot of other phone calls of Charles Manson from people that have posted them on the online on the YouTube. And I believe that these calls with John Michael are the most sincere.
Absolutely.
Based on the others that I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
So
tone of voice.
Yes.
Just the easiness that he is talking. Yeah.
Yes. The subject matter, all of it. Yes. So that's why I'm really grateful for John Michael coming on and doing this with us. It's been such a great thing to do with us. And I certainly, again, thank him endlessly for this. It's good stuff.
And it is so funny. Some of it is so funny.
Well, you know what's cool is that he said he's been contacted by tons of people to do interviews now, because this documentary Making Manson is red hot right now. Red hot.
Yep.
So he's been contacted by a lot of podcasts, not just in the TLB community, but outside, just true crime alone. Oh, we lost her. Anyway, not sure what happened there. Odd. See if she pops back in here. But anyhow, whatever, man. I guess I was digressing. She got bored of me. She said, I'm done. I had enough. Oh my God. So I've lost my train of thought now, trying to see what happened to her. Anyway, doesn't matter. Y'all get the point, I think, at this point. I'm gonna wait a couple seconds here to see if she pops up. And there she comes. We'll go ahead and end the program. Hey, CJ, good to see you, my friend. Thank you for the kind words. Dolphin, good to see you back with us. Thank you. Yeah, she comes right back. There you are. You got bored of me? Just got tired of me, huh? Okay.
I thought I was going to start, cutting the feed and deleting shows. So
yeah, I thought you'd go get the head start early, right? Just gonna start taking shows down early tonight. Woo! Oh, just kidding. Helicopter.
Whatever you just said, I agree with you totally.
I know you do. Helicopter. All right. Hey, I want to say also, if I could, real quickly, a shout out to our good friend over at the CieloDrive.com. Bo Emerson, how are you? I saw you earlier tonight, man. I just wanted to say hello. Good to see you again, Bo. Happy New Year to you, my friend. And head over to CieloDrive.com if you haven't in a long time. Great website, as everybody already knows this. But I haven't seen Bo in a while, so I just want to give a shout out. Bo Emerson, one of the few people in this community that I've never had a crossword with, ever. It's always been a great guy. So good to see you again, Bo. Hope you're having a great one. Anyone you want to shout out? Laufenberg?
No, I think you got it covered.
All right. You know what? That'd be great a cappella. I've been trying to get him on since probably 10 years now. Bo won't do any interviews, I don't think. Like, I don't even think it's against me. I just don't think he wants to do interviews. But Bo definitely knows. I love him. Great guy. Yeah, if you guys could somehow convince him to that would be awesome. Like, he would be one of my most prized interviews if we could get him. That'd be great. Let him know. Be awesome. All right. I think that's going to wrap things up. Laufenberg, anything else from you want to get out there, or?
No, I'm good. Am I forgetting something?
Huh?
Am I forgetting something?
That's why I'm asking you. I don't know.
No, I'm good.
All right. I'm good. It's been good. It's been great. It's been great seeing everybody back again, especially on this first program of the new year. Happy New Year 2025. Hard to believe we're still doing it. God bless all of you, and I mean that sincerely. Good stuff. John Michael, thank you, my friend, again. Laufenberg, thank you.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. I insist. Thank you. Owner Van Tulski, thank you. I don't know why I did that. I'm just in a good mood now. All right, time to sit back and reflect a little bit. Once again, tentative announcement for next week. I can't say yay or nay yet. I'll have to see what happens.
I think we'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll see. If nothing else, one of us should be able to. Maybe you can run it.
Yeah, right.
No, you can. That'd be great.
No.
All right. Anyway, let's roll on out of here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us here tonight. We certainly appreciate it. And, God, look forward to next time, whenever that will be. Whenever that will be. For Tawna Laufenberg, for John Michael Jones, I'm Brian Davis, and this is the Tate LaBianca radio program.